Welcome everyone to part 1 of the Nerdmotron Hobbit Trilogy movie commentaries! Hurrah, hooray! Featuring, as is common these days, this reprobate sitting next to me with a very glum expression on their face.
You're making me watch The Hobbit.
I say Hobbit Trilogy, but maybe I should say Hobbshit Swilogy?
Yeah, I mean, these jokes aren't helping right now, because I know it's going to be shit, and I've seen, I think, the first one before.
Well, we don't not to get too ahead of ourselves, but these are very bad movies. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We're gonna endure.
I have a little something that might help us.
Oh yeah. If you,
I actually do. There is one piece of Hobbit lore that I enjoy.
Okay.
And I have extracted from this a small spoken word poem that I'd like to share with you.
Please do.
In the middle of the earth, in the land of Shire, lives a brave little hobbit whom we all admire. With his long wooden pipe, fuzzy woolly toes, he lives in a hobbit hole, and everybody knows him. Bilbo Baggins. He's only 3 feet tall. Bilbo Baggins. The bravest little hobbit of them all. Now, hobbits are peace-loving folks, you know. They're never in a hurry, and they take things slow. They don't like to travel away from home. They just like to eat and be left alone. But one day, Bilbo was asked to go on a big adventure to the caves below to help some dwarves get back their gold that was stolen by a dragon in the days of old. Bilbo Baggins. He's only 3 feet tall.
That was beautiful.
I mean, I could continue, but I just feel this. It just encapsulates the wonder of The Hobbit that we are now going to completely subvert.
Yeah. I'm just a bit concerned about getting sued.
I think that would be illogical.
Very good. Bilbo
Baggins. He's only 3 feet tall. Honestly, that is my favourite bit of any Lord of the Rings anything.
Yeah. Right, well, that's us had our fun. Okay,
yeah.
So, here we
Fun's
go
over.
with part 1, an unexpected fart.
Okay, so
just a big, wet, juicy surprise fart.
There, I'm getting ahead of us.
Clock it in at nearly 3 hours. It's a measly 2 hours and 49 minutes.
How many minutes of that is actually credits? Because I can imagine it's really only 2 minutes, 2 hours 40.
Probably about half an hour of credits, something like that. I don't know. We're not doing the extended editions because we're not fucking insane. I know I did the extended editions for The Lord of the Rings, but those are actually good movies, and I'm quite happy to spend like 12 hours immersed in that world. And I know this is technically the same world, but it's not. It's just not the same thing. Anyway, get your copies lined up, get ready to press play. We'll sync up with titles and such, as usual. But 3, 2, 1, play!
That was loading.
It's buffering, there we go.
What the hell happened? Okay.
Yeah,
Eyeball
eyeball
or something.
What's this? Oh, it's the MGM.
Roar!
Metro Goldwyn
Wait for the
Mayer.
second roar. Roar! There we go.
That was very good.
That was pretty good
That
timing.
was perfectly in sync, actually. MGM, of course, most famous for repeatedly going into bankruptcy. We shall touch on that.
I think they're most famous for their Roaring Lion logo.
Yeah, probably. Actually.
I think that's the one thing that everyone like. But
They do tend
how they fucked it up and
they
did it all
do
modern
tend to
again.
be in just constant financial difficulties, though. You know.
Right. God, this movie's beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing this,
It's
aren't
the
we?
start of an epic journey. It's an epic journey. The Hobbit.
It's an
It
unexpected journey.
Well, is it? It's not that unexpected, really, because...
Oh, but poor Bilbo, he just wants to eat and be left alone. And then one day, someone's going to ask him to go on an adventure to help some bloody dwarves that steal all his food.
I'm sure it'll work out
spoilers.
fine in the end, you know.
Oh, Ian Holm.
Look at him. ancient. You know, they actually wanted to like properly recast him for this movie instead of Martin Freeman.
Why?
It was like, well, I mean, it would have been fitting.
But Ian Holm is him. Oh, you mean you're going to
Yeah,
have...
that's what I mean.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, are they going to de-age him or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see they've kind of de-aged him there, and it looks horrendous. He just does.
Wow.
He just looks all
Plasticine-y.
smooth and shiny and weird.
It looks like he's about to cough up milk. He looks that age.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so funny, a crossover of Alien in this film. I'd pay to see that. I'd like to see Bilbo having to travel across the world to find some magician to wizard out the egg in his chest, or it'll burst out of him. I'd pay to see that movie.
Wizard this egg out of me, please. Help.
That's a technical term.
Now, you're probably noticing already how this film...
I think the subtitles aren't on, are
they? It doesn't look like it. I mean, I don't think we're missing much. Just Bilbo going like, ooh, Middle-earth, ooh, Middle-earth.
Pretty sure I pushed the button.
Middle-earth.
Oh, it's paused it to put the subtitles on. What? Okay, well, we're out of sync now, so we might... Should we just start again?
Oh, God.
Oh, God. I mean,
Right, it's fine. It's fine. Just keep going. We'll sync it up. It didn't pause for that long. It was
Dwarves
like
walking,
10 seconds.
looking out a window, hands on the side, panning up over a big axe.
Big dwarf hall. I like the dwarf, like, society that's depicted in this. It's great. There's Richard Armitage. Lots of buildings. I like their whole underground civilization. It's cool. Yeah, lots of shiny things. Yeah, as I was saying, you'll probably notice already how the film sort of looks like utter shit. Just visually, it is not appealing to the eye in any way.
I honestly don't understand how they went from the three, one of the three most visually amazing films in the original trilogy. Like, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I can accept them for being brilliant. But these are just, they look just like plastic and trash in comparison. It's like they've just regurgitated it.
Well, there's a very good reason why it looks as awful as it does.
Rushed special effects? Budget? I don't know.
Well, those are contributing factors. It's more to do with the fact that the studio mandated that they shoot in 3D and in like 5K and like...
Oh, 60 FPS, wasn't it?
No, it was like 48 frames per second or something stupid like that. Like, just break every movie-making convention that has been in place for blockbuster movies for the last century. Just throw all that out the window and just shit this fucking piece of crap onto the screen.
I think the thing that really got me was that, considering how long ago it was, Gollum looked so much better in the old ones. And all the sort of compositing and stuff, and all the lighting, and it just looked like it just felt like the CGI teams in this were either rushed or they weren't very good. I don't know. It's like compared to the originals.
Yeah, there is one scene with Gollum in this film that is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like it was like the scene, the riddling scene. It's the one that they used to kind of as a proof of concept for the film, I guess.
Wow, and the extended.
This is all just intro. You remember?
We've still not got subtitles, have we?
No.
This is absolutely shit. You saw me put them on, right?
I did.
I mean, what?
I don't.
It's going to pause again.
I just leave it. I don't.
Do we care?
No, we don't need to hear what they're saying.
I kind of want to see what's happening. What's going on?
Well, try and put them on again. If it goes out of sync, then it goes out of sync.
Yeah, I mean, how many people are actually going to want to watch this movie anyway? They probably just sit in the back and... No, wait, okay, so pressed English. I'll try the other English. See if that helps. And then not go to back, but just press back. Okay, this is crap.
There's a dragon thing.
Burning dragon.
Fire.
Kid staring. Dragon swooping.
Tower
Bell flashing.
smashed.
Burning.
It's
dropping.
all very...
Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah. Ugh.
God, that's quite an insult to make about a film, actually, that it looks like Game of Thrones Season 8.
It does, though.
It really does.
It's just exactly the same.
Yeah,
right?
except Game of Thrones somehow didn't look quite as plastic.
Yeah, and also this burning of a city actually makes sense.
Yeah, oh God.
Anyway. Right, we're going to play a new game. Alright?
Okay.
You'll like this game.
Okay.
So, as you know...
Before we begin, is this something you've set up and you've decided the answers arbitrarily, or is it something...
No. This is hard facts.
Then I'm excited.
Yeah, so as you'll have gathered, having done a few of these now, I like to run through the cast and talk about what they've been in and so forth. But
Right.
this time, I'd like to play a little game I like to call In the Bill, ?
Does Mark know? I get it. I'm being annoying.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Just
In the bill ?
In the bill ?
I think you don't really need to explain any more than that for me to understand the concept.
Basically you have to guess which of these actors I'm about to name was in the bill. For those who don't know, the bill was...
Just we're talking over this dragon moving scene. Was that the dragon and the coins? I don't know what's going on. I just saw coins.
Dragon
moving.
burning... He wants the gold in the mountain, and he's killed all the people to get to the gold in the mountain. Because that's what dragons do.
What do dragons like about gold? What's the benefit to them? Do they like?
They just like it. They're just obsessed with it.
So it's like magpies and shiny things.
Yeah, basically. It's like they don't want to spend it or anything, obviously. They just want to... Like Smaug just wants to sit in a mountain surrounded by gold and just be like, here is all my gold. Don't you have any of it. It's all mine.
Because I'm Benedict Cumberbatch doing excessive mocap.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway. Right.
Continue. I apologise.
So, first up, we have Martin Freeman as Bilbo Hobbitman.
Yes.
Now,
Did you know he's only 3 feet tall?
Yeah, I've
He's
heard.
the bravest little hobbit of them all as well.
Yeah, I heard the whole thing. So, was Martin Freeman in the bill? ?
I'm going to say no, probably not.
I've got news for you. Martin Freeman was in the bill.
Damn!
Oh.
I mean, actually, I should just say yes for everyone. The odds are probably high for any British actor that they were in the bill.
Certainly when we get onto a certain group of actors that are in this, then playing a certain group of characters. Look at him hammering. Look at him go.
Yeah,
he's really
hammering
into
away.
It.
Oh, that's the Shire.
So Martin Freeman, he's also in the music video for Faith No More's I Started a Joke.
Isn't he also playing a porn star in Love Actually?
Oh, probably. I don't know.
Something like that. It was a really awkward scene of him just like chatting to his co-host. Co-star.
I don't know. I can't remember that film at all. So he's in The Office, obviously.
Yes.
I don't like the UK Office.
Well, he basically is just Tim and everything. He's also in a film that had great potential based on its casting, and then went down the tubes. And you know what that film is? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to mention that, actually.
Disappoint him all.
It was Arthur Dent in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. Frodo?
Yeah.
Frodo!
Frodor.
Yeah, he's looking a bit smooth as well in the old face. Because they had to de-age him as well, because... How long ago was the Lord of the Rings movies? Like 20 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Something like that. Madness! Absolute madness. What else? Shaun of the Dead.
Excellent.
The only acceptable zombie media.
Oh.
The only acceptable zombie media.
Oh, come on.
No. Acceptable zombie.
You're shitting on George Romero here. He has some great zombie movies.
Well, I mean...
Like,
yeah, okay.
You can't just say that as a blanket statement. It's an excellent piece of zombie media. George Romero approves, but I would say that some of the
I hope so, given it is just basically Night of the Living Dead.
We're coming to get you, Barbara!
It's just all of the zombie movies. But anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
I'm just sick of zombies and shit. Like, people just need to get over their fucking zombies and pirates and ninjas and velociraptors and fuck off.
Yeah, I can't. It's weird how I'm actually trying to sort of half watch this, even though there's no subtitles on, and I don't care. I just need to look away. What else has he been in? Come on,
look how smooth he is. Look at that. It's weird.
And look at the weird, awful Hobbit shoe feet thing that don't look like real toes.
Yeah.
They're clearly just like rubber shoes, and he can't even walk properly, and he's like flapping them around. Like...
So actually, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they were actually just shoes, but in this, they've got like a whole thing that goes up their leg as well. And with like the dwarf suits, there's like behind the scenes footage because they would just be wearing those all day, and they would just be sweating into them. And then there's footage of them taking the suits off at the end of the filming day and just wringing out all this milky, sweaty crud from it. And it's like...
They should have taken a trick out of the Star Trek Klingon cosplay book where you stick a panty liner under your face prosthetic to absorb all the moisture and then just like... Or like cut up nappies and shit. Like really crazy shit for cosplay.
That would probably work. But I mean, these guys were working like... 12-hour days. But I suppose your average cosplayer is probably, if you're like at a convention or something, you're going to be doing pretty much the same sort of.
But I'd much rather dress up as a Klingon than a dwarf or any other crap in this film.
I don't know. It's kind of boring.
What, Klingons?
Yeah. Put some shit on your head and wear a uniform and that's it. I don't
Sharpen
know.
your teeth.
I quite like the Hobbit way of life and their style. The fact that they just want to sit around in the countryside smoking their quote-unquote pipe weed and blowing their smoke rings. Look at that.
That's a very computer-generated smoke ring.
So that... all of that 15 fucking minutes or whatever it was, pure intro. In the Lord of the Rings, you have your little intro with Galadriel explaining the world out at the start. Lasts for like 5 minutes, and it's entertaining and interesting, and makes you actually care about the world that you're watching. And in this, it's just a bunch of waffle. Anyway, Nativity.
I don't think I know what that is.
It's a film that Martin Freeman's been in.
Righto, next.
He is Person Man in the MCU.
Oh, he is Person Man in the MCU.
Everett Ross?
Yeah. Is he in the new Black Panther as well, or is he?
I think so, yeah.
He's just Tim.
He is.
He's just Tim in everything.
To be fair, he has mastered the art of going confidently into a conversation and then the other person says something that just immediately deflates him. He has mastered the transition from smug, arrogant confidence to what the fuck just happened. That's Martin Freeman's acting skill. The rest...
isn't that his career trajectory as well?
Well, kinda.
Like where he went...
I'm shitting on him a bit. He's not a bad actor. He has a type that he always seems to end up playing. I would like to see him do other things. I would like to see him in an Alien movie or something like that. Something that isn't just him being a bumbling fool that's getting swept along by the plot of whatever he's in, you know?
I want to see him in an Alien movie where he gets a face over on him, he's totally fine, and then he has that face when he realises he's about to have a thing about
yes.
and he just doesn't look to camera and he's like, oh god, what's going to happen now? And then
that would be very good.
That would be very funny.
That would be excellent. And also fitting, because of the whole Ian Holm thing.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Person Man in Civil War, Black Panther movies, probably other ones as well. I think he's going to be in that Secret Wars mini-series.
Oh, yeah.
Secret Invasion, I should say.
Yeah.
Is he a Skrull? Probably. Who gives a fuck?
But as we've learned from the Almost people, it doesn't matter if you're Skrull or not, depending on whether you're still the same person. Even though it depends with Skrulls. Sometimes they're just in disguise as the person, but sometimes they're like they've gone full method with it. If you know what I mean, and they like fully adopt the persona of the person, and they have all the memories and everything. They think that they are that person, and then it's like when they turned Sylar into Nathan Petrelli for that one episode.
Or that one season of Heroes.
Oh, Heroes. Now, look, this is rude.
Don't vandalising
don't
his jaw.
Scratch it. I mean, I like dwarven runes and all that kind of thing, but don't scratch some shit into somebody's door. That's rude.
Why? I mean, obviously I've not been paying attention to this, but why the fuck is he even involved in this?
Who?
Bilbo.
Why
does Gandalf come to him?
He's Gandalf's mate.
And why is Gandalf forcing a whole troop of dwarves onto him?
Because it's...
I know it's the hero's journey.
He's pretending... Well, it's not really.
The beginning of
it
is.
All.
It's because it's a reluctant hero, isn't it? Or a reluctant adventurer. He wants to just fucking stay there and smoke weed.
Yes. I mean, that is really, I think, the only thing about this whole thing that is remotely along the lines of the hero's journey. He has the call to action, and he accepts the call to action. But then after that, he just kind of fades into the background, and occasionally reappears to do an action-y thing, or some riddles or whatever. Here they come. Here come the fucking dwarves.
Are there any police in the Shire? Or any sort of security or
Not really.
law enforcement?
They don't really need it because they're just a big hippie commune basically.
Fair enough.
They grow all their own food and everybody's just kind of looking after each other. I mean, they all hate each other. Like Bilbo just hates his entire family and is constantly banging on about how much he hates his fucking cousins and second cousins and all the rest of it.
He does actually. I'm just thinking, if this happened to me in real life, if you came to my house and said, "Oh yeah, I've want you to go on an adventure, there'll be a mate of mine along later," and then a fucking horde of dwarves come along and break into my house, don't leave when I ask them to, and eat every item of food in my house. I would A, never speak to you again, and B, I'd probably have called the police before they got through a couple of plates of food.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? So in this circumstance, I'm just like, why isn't he threatening them? I mean, obviously they're dwarves, they kick the crap out of him.
Because he's a little man.
Yeah,
I like his little dressing gown though. That's very nice. That's very Arthur Dent.
Oh God, don't.
Listen, there were some good things about that.
Yeah, Bill Nye.
Bill Nye was good. Sam Rockwell was good.
Yeah,
Sam Rockwell. He's always good.
Here's a bit hot take. It's the only film I didn't think Alan Rickman was remotely suited for.
Yeah, he was kind of phoning it in, wasn't he? I mean, it was Marvin the Martian. I mean, phoning it in is kind of
Martian. Marvin
the Android. But I always do that.
Yeah, the thing about Marvin is the voice of him in the radio, Stephen Moore. He was still alive. He was still around. They could have got him to do it, and it would have been perfect.
They have a little cameo from the original Marvin robot thing in it at one point,
and they have Simon Jones as a little cameo as the hologram.
There was some good. I like the practical effects with the what they called the Vogons.
Vogons were good.
I like all that.
Bit too dumb.
I kind of liked Mos Def as
he was around.
As Ford. What's his face?
Prefect.
But yeah, it was all just shit, really, wasn't it?
Hell, Zooey Deschanel was okay. It was just...
Yeah, it was one of those films where it's like all the parts of it are there. It just didn't really come... Because you've got Stephen Fry doing the voice in the book, which is perfect.
It's one of the rare exceptions where its sum was worth less than the parts that consisted of it.
Yeah.
Individually, you think Alan Rickman, Martin Freeman, Sam Rockwell...
It's like with the Mario movie that we did before.
It had
a stellar cast and all that, and incredible production design and everything, but it was just a heap of shit. Anyway, also Martin Freeman was...
Look at them just muddying up his house. They're a bunch of cunts.
Yeah,
what are they
they're
doing?
scum. They're scum.
And that's why I have no idea why he goes with them. And in a minute they're about to start fucking singing.
Oh, I like the song though.
Oh, the song.
I don't like a lot of the song. I do like the song that they sing in this. It's nice. It's a nice song.
The best thing in it so far is his dressing gown.
It's got some good emotional resonance with it. But yeah, one of the things that really put me off reading the book back in the day was every 5 pages they would be breaking out into a fucking song.
Yeah, I gave up halfway through the book when I was younger. I was just like, this is pish.
Yeah. Same with The Lord of the Rings, actually. It's just... I think it's... Well, The Lord of the Rings was significantly worse for it, but...
Gandalf, can you get these people out of here, please?
I like Tolkien.
You literally have the magic power.
I like Tolkien for his world building and his skill with language and all that, but his prose is like reading a paragraph that he's written is like wading through fucking tar. It's just not good. But yeah, Martin Freeman also was John Watson in that shitty Sherlock show.
Well, yes, it was shit, or it became shit. The first season was okay. The first couple of ones, they were okay.
First episode, the first half...
Is that the Lady in Pink, the first one?
Yeah, the first half of the first episode was tolerable, and then it was just typical Stephen Moffat string you along mystery box kind of crap. And it actively worked against the genre conventions of the type of show that it was. It should have been a detective show, but at no point was it ever actually a detective show, because you never had a chance to like figure out the mysteries yourself. It would just be Sherlock breezes into a room and does his mind palace bullshit.
It's a bit Doctor Who.
Just
really,
comes up with the answer just out of fucking nowhere, and is just a real piece of shit to everybody all around him.
Look at all the food they're eating. Like, that's like a year's worth of supplies that this hobbit has carefully maintained so that he can eat throughout the winter.
Yeah.
And now these dudes are coming in. They're literally throwing food around. They couldn't be more disrespectful.
They
look
do
at
the
the
dishes,
state they left. No, but look at the state they've left everything in. Like, honestly,
no, well, yeah,
I'm just like
they
so
eat
appalled
all
by these.
they eat all the
people.
food, but they do the dishes afterwards. You know.
I just find them irredeemable. They're so.
That guy
hateful.
just got beer poured into his ear.
I know. They're just. I hope they're going to mop the floor as well. That's going to be horrible.
The other thing about these dwarves is, right...
Oh, look at them. That's in your beard, mate.
Yeah, they're horrible. They're disgusting little guys. I love them. But that's one of the weird things about this is, like, most of them are just, like, weird little pot-bellied, bulbous-nosed, just ugly little freaks. And then you've got fucking GQ models like Richard Armitage and another person I can't remember the name of, we'll get to.
What's his name on the left there? What's his name? Scottish guy?
Thingy,
Irish guy, sorry.
Thingy Nesbitt.
Yeah, James Nesbitt.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, no, I was going to say there was another connection there with the Sherlock thing, because he did a thing with Stephen Moffat.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
Jekyll.
I actually enjoyed that at the time.
Holy shit.
But I was probably about 8, so I don't know.
What
How old was I then?
God-awful piece of crap that was. Anyway, you've got there Sir Ian McKellen.
Sir Ian. Wizard!
You shall not pass!
And then Sir Ian.
Yeah. So, Sir Ian McKellen, was he in the bill? Question mark.
No, he's a proper actor. He's a stage actor. He would have done all that shit. No, I'm going to say no. I'm going to gamble.
Are you doubling down on this? Tripling down? You lock it in that answer?
Oh god, no! This is just as bad as the other one, because it's a gamble, like 50-50 almost at this point. Because
yeah, but at least it is an actual fact, and I'm not not just doing some shit. You know?
So you concede the other one's a shit. Well, the way you're saying is making me want to say yes, but I'm still going to say no. He's not in the bill.
He is in the bill.
Damn it! When was he in the bill?
Oh, years ago. I don't know. It was
you haven't written this down. You've got to be able to say like episode, year, number.
Who cares?
Who he played.
People can look that up if they want to. Also, of course, in the X-Men,
He's not playing
Lord
that.
of the Rings movies. He was in Flushed Away as the big toad that goes, "Huzzah! Man of quality!"
My favourite thing he ever did.
He was in The Shadow.
Oh.
You remember The Shadow?
No.
Oh god, I love that era of superhero movies. Like there was The Shadow, like in the 90s, before they'd like figured out what they wanted to make superhero movies, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing.
This is before X-Men.
Before X-Men, before Spider-Man, before all of that, you had The Shadow, you had The Phantom,
Darkman, was that before?
Darkman's a little bit different.
I suppose that's an original product, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't an adaptation of an existing thing, I don't think.
Good movie though.
Yeah,
we should do Darkman. We should watch Darkman again.
Yeah, maybe. Well, look at this guy, Richard Armitage. He does not look like a dwarf, alright? He looks just like a guy. He looks like a man. He looks like Aragorn. He looks like a fucking male model, you know what I mean?
Wearing a lot of...
And look at this guy in the
wigs.
background with his fucking jowls and his 10 chins and... It's so jarring.
Was that Charlie from Lost Behind? Wasn't he in Hobbit?
No, he was in The Lord of the Rings. He's not in this.
It looked like him.
Yeah. So what else? What other? Oh, I can't remember. There was a few of those weird comic book movies like this, and The Shadow is great. It's like Alec Baldwin being Batman essentially. It's pretty good.
I'm preemptively, before you say the next name, going to say yes, they were in the bill.
Have you been looking at my notes?
No, I haven't.
Cheating.
But I'm just because of the way this is going. If I didn't think Ian McKellen and Martin Freeman were in the bill, they totally were. I'm stupid for not realising that every British actor's been in the bill. It's like Casualty as well.
Yeah,
you could do a Casualty or Holby City.
Well, it's amusing that you with Ian McKellen there that you said that he couldn't have been in the bill because he's a proper actor, but like being in the bill is like a rite of passage for a lot of British actors of that era.
In my mind, he would have come from such a sort of theatrical background from a young age. I don't know if this is true, but I don't know his background properly, but I can imagine that Ian McKellen's the sort that would have like come out of school and gone to drama school and done all this and just gone onto the stage and then been taken from the stage to go onto like film and TV and stuff, skipping the kind of I'm really shit, I need money, need to go to the bill. Not that I think he wouldn't have been a struggling like theatre actor back in the day, like every actor in the fucking world.
Yeah.
But that was my misperception of him, is that he would have started out from a more sort of theatrical.
You forget as well how popular the bill was back in the day.
This is true.
It wasn't just like a niche thing where they dumped.
Is it even on now?
Rubbish out. No, it's long finished.
Where are people going to go and start their careers now? Benidorm, or is that gone as well?
I don't know. It's a whole different world these days, you know?
Or Murder in Paradise, that's where they all go now.
Next on the cast, we've got Andy Serkis as Gollum. Good old Andy Serkis. Was he in the bill, question mark?
God, well, I was going to say I would say yes, but again now, I'm just thinking, like, what's his background? He's more voice acty, he's more like mocap. I wonder if he would have been behind the scenes.
Has he always
done that? Or has he done like acting before? I don't recall. But just for the sake of the ridiculousness of this game, I'll say yes, he was in the bill.
He was in the bill.
Yay! I got one.
I think he was in a few episodes, actually. Like, the other ones were in, like, one or two episodes. I think he had quite a good run at it. Sorry, I keep coughing. It's very annoying.
It's terribly rude.
But also, he was Martin Hannett in 24-Hour Party People.
Not seen it.
A mockumentary about Tony Wilson setting up Factory Records. I like that film, but mostly just because I like Happy Mondays. And it's Steve Coogan as well.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I like Steve Coogan.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good film. Twisting My Melon Man. Happy Mondays. You don't know the Happy Mondays, do you?
No.
You should, because
I probably should.
He was King Kong, the titular Kong in the King Kong movie that was like 10 million years ago and 5 million years long.
Yeah, another disastrous Peter Jackson.
That was the first movie I had ever watched that had an intermission in it. I went to see that at the cinema.
It had an intermission?
It actually had an intermission.
How long is it? Like 3 hours?
It's nearly like 4 hours, I think.
Jesus
something like that.
Christ.
It is fucking long, because it's like 3 movies mashed together.
I mean,
weird.
we have just both had a cup of tea, so we're going to need an intermission in this at some point.
Yeah, probably. What else? The Prestige. Very good movie.
Now, I always mix that up with the other one that came out.
The
at the
Illusionist.
same time, The Illusionist.
Yeah.
Is the Prestige the one with Hugh Jackman?
Yes.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman
Doesn't even sound like a real name.
Yes, I don't think I've ever seen The Illusionist. That was the one with Ed Norton. Perhaps I will make you disappear. That's the only quote I know from it.
Was Nikola Tesla in that one, or was he in the
He was
other
in.
one?
He was in The Prestige.
Which one was the Batman in?
Prestige. Christian Bale.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like Deep Impact and Armageddon. Sometimes some scenes from that I cannot sparse as to which film was which because they were like out the same week, and it was like all these. There was a whole.
I mean, you would if I was to show you a scene from Deep Impact and an
I suppose
equivalent
Armageddon,
scene
a lot
from
of it's set in
Armageddon.
space, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, there's space stuff in Deep Impact. Deep Impact is the better film. It's not great, but it's pretty good.
But it doesn't have Aerosmith.
But it doesn't have Aerosmith.
Or Liv Tyler.
Or Michael Bay in charge. Indeed. Andy Serkis was also in the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yes,
the newer ones.
I prefer the originals. I'm a fan.
I've never really seen the originals. I remember the Tim Burton.
Oh, I actually
remake.
enjoyed the Tim Burton one.
I really liked the Tim
liked
Burton
that.
one. Even the weird ending that made no sense. I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
But the thing about the Tim Burton one was that because they used so much practical effects and the makeup was so good, you felt more like connected to the actors and stuff in the role. So even if the film was shit, the plot was shit, it visually to me looked more interesting than some of the newer ones in a way. Because even though the CGI is great in the new ones, it's absolutely amazing.
It definitely,
and the acting and the motion capture, it's amazing. But there's something more grounded about seeing Paul Giamatti hanging upside down, like rubbing rose petals in his armpits. You know what I mean?
I forgot he was in that.
And watching Helena Bonham Carter like writing with her toes and stuff.
Yeah,
it feels quite nice. There's something a bit more genuine about it.
It definitely had that Tim Burton style about it. But I do like the new ones. Even like the first one, I can never remember the names of them. There's like Rise, I think is the first one, and then Dawn, and then War.
I think it's Dawn, Rise, War.
Something like that. But yeah, the first one, even though the first one is not very good, it's not. The weird thing about the first Planet of the Apes movies is I remember watching the trailer for it back in the day and thinking, hang on, this is very familiar. So I watched side by side the trailer for that Planet of the Apes movies and the intro cutscene for Ape Escape. Virtually identical.
Yeah.
There's even a point in the...
I don't know what Ape Escape is.
Opening... It's... Look it up sometime. It's a fun little game from back in the day, like PS1 era. Okay. But there's a moment in the opening cutscene for that where a bunch of apes escape from this domed structure, and there is exactly the same scene in the trailer for that movie. I thought that was very funny.
Bizarre.
Because they're both about apes escaping. And
synchronicity.
It's, yeah. He was some guy called Snoke in something called Star Wars. I don't recognise that.
Not familiar with that, no.
No. You'll recognise this one, though. He was Ulysses Claw in the MCU. Yes. Not anymore, because he died. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Gets shot right in the head.
He had quite a bit of potential as a character. Or maybe it was a Skrull that got shot in the head.
Wow, maybe. But no, I like the fact that they were done with that character. There wasn't really anything else that they were going to be able to do with them. Like, what else could they do? Just have him appear somewhere else and
know what I think
be wacky.
Do? You know what they should do? They need to take a leaf out of the Han Solo Star Wars story, and they need to do a prequel to Black Panther, which is a heist movie of him stealing the metal from... I mean, I was joking, but him stealing vibranium.
Listen, I like a heist movie. I would watch the hell out of that.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be good, but I would watch it.
I don't know. He might be quite good. But then actually, the trouble would be is at the beginning of that he doesn't have his cool robot laser arm.
Yeah.
You want him to have his cool robot laser. Oh no, hang on. He loses it in Age of Ultron, doesn't he?
Yes.
Does he?
But he did the whole stealing the vibranium thing long before that.
Oh, okay.
You could set it between Black Panther 1 and 2. No, you couldn't, because he dies in the first one. Okay, never mind. He did that version of the Jungle Book.
Never saw that.
Mowgli,
I saw a
Legend
clip
of the Mowgli.
And I was like, I can't. I saw Baloo, played by... What's his name?
Oh, not that one. Not the Jon Favreau one.
Oh, which one?
He did his own, like, sort of darker, grittier version.
Andy Serkis?
Yeah, directed it.
Nice.
And I think starred in it as well.
Is it good?
I don't know. I have not seen it.
Oh.
Because I watched that other version of the Jungle Book and was like, yeah, this is the Jungle Book, but longer and more boring. And with none of the heart and soul of
You know
the
what's
original.
really shocking? The original Jungle Book is only about 70 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it's only like part of the story. And also at the very end, it gets pretty awkward in terms of like perving on a random small girl, and then he's just, I'm just going to follow her, and that's how it ends. It's a really weird ending in the original. I don't know how they fix it in the later ones.
I can't remember.
But I used to love the Jungle Book.
Me too.
The original, the bloody, what is it, 68 version or whatever it was from the original. It's so good.
Yeah. Probably my favourite Disney movie, actually.
I think I would probably agree with you there.
That or Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
I don't remember that.
Nobody remembers that.
It rings a bell, but I don't remember.
It's a bit of fun. It was also in a version of... It was in a couple of versions of A Christmas Carol, actually. But the one...
The best one, The Muppet Christmas Carol?
No, he wasn't in that one. That is the
one.
best one. And possibly the best movie ever made, possibly.
Except for Paddington 2.
Paddington 2, of course.
Did you get that link I sent you the other day?
I did, yes, yeah. I've seen that.
Oh, okay.
Before.
You're in the loop.
There's very little in the way of Paddington content that I'm not aware of, apart from most of it, like the original books and cartoon and so on.
I remember in Glasgow, or is it somewhere in Edinburgh, I've seen that somebody has a Paddington in their window, and you walk past and they put a hat on or a jacket off, depending on the weather.
Oh, yeah. That rings a bell. I'm sure I've probably seen that. Oh, look, they're having a sing-song.
Oh my god, it's fucking muted.
Oh, no, yeah, they're all just doing crazy frog impressions.
That was hamster dance, but yes.
Well, is there a difference?
Yes, because
Squeaky
Crazy Frog is more like ring a ding 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 bap bap.
Oh yeah, totally different. Yeah. He was also Alfred in The Batman.
He was a good Alfred.
He was a very good Alfred, and that was a very good film.
I need to rewatch it. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
It's a bit overlong.
Yes, long.
And I could have done with a few less repeat playings of that fucking Nirvana song. It's a good song, and I get the thematicness of it, but stop playing it, please. Could have done with like maybe 15 minutes getting cut out of that movie.
Do you think he's going to interact with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker at any point?
No, I hope not. I hope they're just keeping those two things separate. Because I'm kind of sick of the whole shared universe thing now. I just want to see...
I think DC are as well.
Well, now they've got James Gunn on board, they're going to take another crack at it. And with him in charge of it, and you know, he's got plenty of experience with the MCU and all that. So you know, they'll do it. They'll have a good crack at it, I guess. But I'm just kind of sick of the whole everything has to be linked into everything else, because it affects the movies as well. Because like all MCU movies, maybe not with one or two exceptions, they all just basically look the same. Like they're all color graded the same. Because like you don't really know which characters are going to have cameos in which movies.
That's
from
the
other
joke these
places.
days, though, isn't it? That TV is movies and movies are TV. So movies are just like episodes of a season of whatever, and then TV has like extended movies.
Yeah. Speaking of TV, he was Kino Loy in Andor.
I've not seen Andor.
Oh, you need to watch Andor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I've just given up on what was that franchise Star something Wars? Star Wars?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
There was a franchise around. They made a few good films, I think, in the 70s and 80s. And I think when we were kids, there were a few little fun ones. And
yeah, but looking back, they're not.
They brought a few out. I think, I mean, they were, when you are a kid, they're fun. Yeah. Maybe these new ones are too, but I'm an adult now. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I need
two adults
super magic space knights.
Yeah, or
Space
instead
wizards.
we're watching whatever the fuck this is.
Middle Earth wizards.
Well, there's a contract involved. That's very prequels, isn't it? Just contracts and diplomacy and
turmoil has engulfed the Hobbit
kingdom.
War! The taxation of trade routes is in dispute.
Yeah, the taxation of the Shire has led to a blockade by Saruman's forces. Well, he's not. Saruman's not evil at this point. Or is he? We'll get into that later. Holy shit.
I saw a Fact Fiend video the other day that Christopher Lee was heard about the Hobbit films being made or something like that. He was like, I want to be in these films. Apparently he's a big fanboy. Apparently he went big fan. But he apparently did another film where he played a wizard so that he could send a clip of him in costume to Peter Jackson.
Was it Lord of the Rings?
No.
Oh, right.
So that he could
Because
be in
he
Lord
played
of
a
the Rings.
wizard in Lord of the Rings.
Did he?
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with that.
Actually, the same character.
Oh, was he really? Okay,
so you would think if he was going to screen test for
this
movie...
No, not this movie. I'm saying when he was screen testing for Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
when
right.
Lord of the Rings was being made.
That makes more sense.
He did another film beforehand, dressed up as a wizard, and sent the picture to Peter Jackson saying, please can I be a wizard in your film? And Peter Jackson's like, yeah, we would have cast you anyway.
Yeah, you don't need to do that, Christopher Lee. You've spent half of your career dressed up as a Dracula.
The other great story about Christopher Lee is that he was on set in that movie, and Peter Jackson was directing him on how to react after getting stabbed in the back. And he's like, no. I'll act it
when you stab a man on the back, it's more like you knock the wind out of them, actually. He killed a lot of Nazis, and that's fucking cool.
Only in the context of war. Killing people is wrong. Not that I'm promoting Nazism or not saying that you shouldn't kill Nazis in the context of a war, but just saying he killed a bunch of Nazis as a generalization is just saying he killed a lot of people, which on the general level is wrong.
Yeah, but they're Nazis.
If they're trying to kill you, then kill them back.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
the rule. That's the
default position of a Nazi is they're probably going to try and kill you at some point. So, anyway, right, let's get into all these fucking.
You're never getting
dwarves.
monetization on this channel, you know.
I don't care. Yeah, so we've got Richard Armitage as Thorin.
You've said his name so many times. I don't think I've ever even seen the guy before. What's he been in? Do tell.
Well, first question is, was he in the bill?
Yes.
Question mark. No, he wasn't.
Oh,
actually.
fuck off. I don't know who he is, so that's fair. Is he American? Is he a foreigner?
He's been in a lot of TV stuff. He was in the Inspector Lindley mysteries.
Heard of it, never seen it.
He was in The Phantom Menace as a Naboo fighter pilot.
Ah.
Another little Star Wars link there, so there you
Friends
go.
with Mr. Retro Recipes, Mr. Perry Fractic.
He was apparently also in Captain America, Captain Avenger, First America Man, as some German guy, I think.
First America Man. Okay.
We've got Ken Stott as Balin.
Right.
Was he in the bill, question mark?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
I'm just saying yes for them all now.
He was in loads of TV stuff as well. He was a truffle hunter in the Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian.
Did he have to dress up as
which
like a hog
is
or something?
a film that exists. I think that's like a hedgehog or something. I don't know, it was all just talking animals in that film, I think. I don't know. He was in a War and Peace miniseries, and I tell you what, reading his IMDb page is like bloody bleeding War and Peace, you know?
As much as Ian McKellen and Christopher Lee?
Similar volume of stuff, but less memorable stuff, I would say. We've got Graham McTavish as Dwalin. I'm loving all these names, by the way.
I was just saying, why have they got such stupid fucking names?
Well, because they're the names of characters from a fucking children's story. That's the thing. The story of The Hobbit was conceived as just a bunch of bedtime stories that Tolkien would tell to his children when they were very, very young. That's why it is not at all suited for three-hour movies. But anyway. Graham McTavish, was he in the bill, question mark?
Yes.
Yes, he was. Well done. Also in Red Dwarf.
Oh.
Another British institution.
Wait, who's Graham McTavish then?
He's Dwalin.
No, in Red Dwarf.
I'll tell you.
Is he... Wait.
He's in...
Wait. Is he in the pilot? Or is he in season 8?
He's in season 8, yeah.
Okay. Is he the prison dude?
I can't remember. I've got the name of the character here.
What's the character's name?
Ackerman.
Yes.
There we go.
He's brilliant. He's actually brilliant in there.
Done loads of voice work for games as well.
Nice.
Call of Duty, Dragon Age, that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, games. The fuck's going on here?
Pointless battle.
Is this a battle? It's a very slow battle. Everyone's obviously very tired and just moving very slowly. This is where Thorin Oakenshield gets his Oakenshield name, because he gets a big
Thorin who?
Thorin Oakenshield.
Oh, I was going to say it didn't look like Thor.
Thor and you've got the hammer.
Like a shitty CG orc.
Yeah, be prepared for more of that.
The orcs were great in the originals. They were big dudes in suits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they looked like they were there.
Yeah.
And the light wouldn't just be like flat and weird over them.
Yeah.
They were there. And then now...
Yeah. Now it's
this. Even that's not even a real head.
If they didn't actually decapitate a dwarf.
Didn't they?
No.
What about the actor that played the dwarf?
They decapitated him.
Oh, okay.
He actually asked for it after he saw the film. He was like, "Can you just lop my head off, please?"
This guy...
That's Richard Armitage.
I look at him and every time I see him I think he's Michael Sheen. I feel like he's about to just... Yeah.
Who else we got? We got William Critcher as Biffer.
Okay.
Yeah, silly names. Was William Critcher in the bill? ?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
This is actually quite ridiculous how many of these people
I told you there was going to be a group of these actors where pretty much every single one of them had been in the bill. He's been in pretty much nothing else I've heard of. Yeah, this is the bit, I think, where he gets his famous oaken shield. See? Because he grabs a bit of tree, because that would totally fucking work, wouldn't it? I mean, it does a bit.
I mean, I'm not au fait with these, but you seriously tell me this guy is known as Oakenshield because he picks up a log on a battlefield?
Yes, that's how people get their names in this universe. They do something on a battlefield, and then they get named for it. Oh no, that orc, the horrible CGI orc, has been defeated. I guess we'll never ever see them again for the rest of these movies. Oh well.
I don't think that's true.
Look, they're dragging him away.
Oh, is it just taking him away to die peacefully?
Yeah.
Okay. Put him to rest. Let him bleed out of his stump.
So, William Critcher, not been in anything much that I've really heard of.
Sorry, that shot of him running with that log, it was clearly like polystyrene or something because it was just moving so lightly. There's no way he's not... I mean, look at how he's holding it. Just looks like a twig.
I'm pretty sure he's supposed to have like a shattered arm at this point as well. So
is he supposed to be like superhuman as well?
Well, he's a dwarf, so I guess he's kind of a little bit stronger than a normal human man.
A normal 5-foot human man.
I don't know. I don't have the fucking D&D stat sheets, you know.
You didn't prepare well enough then. I didn't do any research for these movies. I couldn't bring myself to.
I did too much, honestly. What is wrong with your face? Why is it so... Why is there so much bloom?
God, yeah, this
I know why there's
so
much
ridiculous.
Bloom. It's because it was shot for 3D. So everything...
Oh, God, everything's like...
Yeah, layers. So they had to amp the brightness on everything, because obviously you're watching it in the cinema. You're basically wearing sunglasses. So yeah, they have to put this...
Well, what are these shots all about? Because they're just dark and pathetic.
I think that's the stupidly high resolution and stupid frame rate that they were filming in, which just highlights all you can tell when a rock is a fake rock and when it's a real rock. You can see like the wig lines on people.
I wonder if this is even in 4K. This one that I'm watching, because I don't know.
I don't think it will be, because I think for most sort of broadcast versions of it, they dial it back to 24 frames per second.
Good.
Like what is most commonly used for a reason.
Like sort of cinematically.
Yeah.
So it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this like?
It's...
Oh, we get subtitles of the other languages. That's good.
Oh yeah, that's...
We found the dwarf scum. They are dwarf scum. I will vote for you wiping out the thieving little dwarf bastards.
There's our next cast member, James Nesbitt as Boffer.
I like James Nesbitt.
But the question is, was he in the bill? ?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, damn it!
Oh,
He's Irish. He was probably in the Irish equivalent of that. maybe he was in like the Bill. That was awful. I don't know.
I'm just picturing like different versions of the bill. Like there's different versions of like CSI.
CSI Dublin.
Yeah. What else is James in this? Well, we talked about him a bit already. He was in that fucking Jekyll show. Jekyll. Sorry. That thing that Stephen Moffat did before he decided to shove Doctor Who right up his rectum and then
he might have
shit it out.
I don't know if it was another thing he did about Dracula that he did with Mark Gatiss as well. I think they might have worked together on that earlier Jekyll stuff as well.
Yes, there was a recent Dracula thing, wasn't there?
It was alright, it went a bit off the rails.
Yeah. Tends to happen with Stephen Moffat projects. Yeah. They just kind of go off the rails at some point. Yeah, he's been in loads of TV
Oh, look, it's
stuff.
Doctor Who!
Yeah, it's
the Doctor with shit in his hair. Did he just kill those foxes?
No, he's distressed at the killing of the foxes. This is Radagast the Brown, one of the other wizards.
Why is he called Radagast the Brown? Is there any specific reason why he's called that?
Because he likes nature and stuff.
And he likes letting birds sit and shit on his head.
Yeah, he's got a little bird's nest under his hat. I like Radagast. He's all.
I mean, yeah, he was actually the best thing about these films, from what I recall, except for the awful, weird CGI janky sequence of him riding on his sled thing.
Oh yeah, his rabbit
which just
sled.
Totally takes it out of the film.
But I mean, he doesn't. He's just another example of a character. In fact, I think he's the first example we've had so far of a character that
wasn't in The Hobbit,
wasn't in the book, and doesn't need to be in this movie. Poor little hedgehogs.
Is he an old mate of Gandalf?
Yes. So,
do you
want to get into some lore? Oh, I love a bit of Tolkien lore.
No.
Oh,
I don't care. Who's next on the list? I just wanted a yes or no. Oh, go on then.
It's fine. We'll get into it. We'll get into it.
I just don't care about the lore. It's like
it just basically there were the wizards are essentially like angels.
Okay.
They
Jesus.
They got sent to Middle Earth to try and help thwart Sauron's
by whom
plans.
And from where?
By the Valar, I think.
Who
are like an ancient people. I don't know.
From where? From
the ancient times.
And where's top and bottom Earth?
Well, there's the north, which is in the north, oddly enough. And then there's the south, which is in the south. And then you've got east and west.
Sorry, poor little fuzzy pig died.
No, not the hedgehog!
Sonic!
No!
You were the fastest thing alive! Sorry, carry on.
Anyway, I've forgotten a lot of the deep lore of it, but basically they come to Middle Earth to be like, let's go and stop Sauron from doing his evil shit. And there were 5 of them. There was Gandalf the Grey.
Right.
There was Radagast the Brown. There was the 2 blue wizards.
Who was Sauron? Saruman, sorry?
And Saruman the White. Now, Saruman the White was supposed to be kind of like the leader of them, the most powerful of them, sort of organising the other ones.
How do they get their power?
From magic.
So is it just knowledge of spells? Or
it's kind of magic.
Have they got midichlorians?
Magic in the Tolkien universe is kind of vague. It's basically just you can do magic. Some people, some creatures, some entities can do magic. And even the magic they can do is kind of vague. Like in the Lord of the Rings movies, Gandalf would do magic, but it would be like there's the bit where at the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep when he charges down the hill with the Rohirrim and he like times it with the sun rising so it like blinds all the orcs, and it's like it sort of seems like he's doing magic, but is he just sort of timing it properly? And there's other points where he's
So are they really just con artists and tricksters?
No, they are magical. They are essentially immortal magical beings, incredibly powerful magical beings. Like Gandalf is basically he's the same type of creature as Sauron is, essentially.
So not a human.
He's not a human.
So
no.
So humans can't be wizards.
No, humans cannot be wizards, and you can't
can't use magic.
You can't like learn how to use magic. I mean, I think you could probably do a bit of like witchcraft, sorcery kind of stuff, but mostly like you could like brew potions or do some like simple like tricks and things. Because Gandalf does a bit of that as well. He's into his fireworks and all that kind of thing. But he does actually do like actual magic. Like he projects like shafts of light out of his staff to scare away evil things, and yeah. So basically, they come to Middle Earth to thwart or to help the people of Middle Earth fight against Sauron and the Dark Forces. But the two blue wizards, they fuck off into the east, and nobody ever hears from them again. Radagast kind of gives up on his mission and is like, I'm just going to go off into the wild and just look after these, the creatures of the wild, because I can't really be bothered with people, and frankly, mood, honestly. You've got...
I mean, to be fair, he probably has the wisest plan, like, stay the fuck away from these other loon bags.
Well, you say that, but really the only two... So after all that's said and done, the only two of them that are really on mission is Gandalf and Saruman. We know what happens with Saruman. He gets corrupted to fuck. And then Gandalf is the only one left who really wants to help fight against it.
And so just my own... I don't even know why I'm asking or if I care, but in the Lord of the Rings films, when Gandalf the Grey dies and comes back as Gandalf the White, has he acquired the same level as power as by virtue of being the White One, or is it
it's sort of like a promotion. It's mostly because he's the only
wizard left?
Basically, yeah, because like...
So the blue ones are dead?
Well, we don't know. Nobody really knows what happened to them, because like I say, they fucked off into the east where... They go off into the east to try, because that's where Sauron flees after he's defeated the first time, or second time, whatever. After the elves defeat him, Isildur takes the ring. Sauron flees off into the east as like this non-corporeal, smoky cloud entity thing, and goes off there and corrupts all the people over there and builds up his armies and stuff. And the blue wizards head off in that direction. And nobody really knows what happened to them. They either got killed or were corrupted or just kind of gave up like Radagast and didn't really bother doing anything. Nobody really knows.
And Tolkien didn't care to write it.
Well, no, he did. Just not in the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It gets more expanded upon in the Silmarillion.
Was that not used as part of these stories, though?
Yes. There is stuff from the Silmarillion that gets kneaded into the dough of this movie and threaded through it for no real reason other than to provide some connective tissue with the Lord of the Rings movies, which you don't really need, because I think everybody kind of knows that The Hobbit comes first and then it's the Lord of the Ring, you know? Anyway.
I'm going to have to just quickly nip to the loo early, because I found breaking the seal, it's a bad idea, but that tea is going right through me.
That's fine. I shall spin my wheels.
Yeah, enjoy the orcs.
Oh, this is
by the fire.
This is another bit that they ruined, because how do they ruin this bit again? Oh yeah, this is a bit with the quarrelsome trolls. And the way that they defeat the trolls in the book is all the dwarves and Bilbo get all tied up and are going to get eaten. And then Gandalf does some like throwing his voice ventriloquism stuff to make the trolls argue with each other until the sun comes up, and then the sun comes up and they get turned to stone. But in this, there's all this fucking around with Bilbo sneaking around trying to do whatever he's doing, and And then Gandalf just shows up and is like, I win. I think he like splits a big rock in half. And the sun shines through it and they all turn to stone. And it's all just a bit of silly fun, really, isn't it? This is annoying because I can't get on with the rest of the cast thing until here's himself. So just spinning my wheels explaining about how they ruined this scene by changing it from what happens in the book.
Also by having CGI orcs.
Those are trolls, actually.
Trolls, sorry. Yes, you're right. I should have known that.
I mean, how else are you going to... Well, you could do them practically. You could do them practically
We
very
just established
easily.
that the Vogons were done quite well in 2005.
Yeah,
So.
indeed.
Did I miss anything fun? Oh god, yeah, this bit really annoyed me. The idea that they don't have any awareness of him moving around there is just fucking laughable.
Yeah, but they're stupid.
Yeah, stupid, not completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Like, they have eyes. They're capable of making tools. Look at this, like, what, he just, like...
Yeah, they found them.
Yeah, but they should have noticed long before grabbing him.
Covered in snot. That's lovely. But anyway, yeah, I was saying they in the book, the way they defeat the trolls is Gandalf basically like sneaks around and like throws his voice and makes them argue with each other until the sun comes up, and then the sun rises and they turn to stone because that's what happens to trolls in the sunlight.
Okay.
But in this, he just shows up and it's like, I'm here now, blah, and does a thing and wins, and it's just like, what are we doing here, guys?
I can't decide who it is that these trolls look like. I feel like it's either Sid from Ice Age or Benedict Cumberbatch.
Bit of both, maybe.
But then Benedict Cumberbatch looks like Sid from Ice Age, so...
Right, where are we up to in the cast here? Stephen Hunter as Bomber. Was he in the bill, question mark?
Probably. Yes.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, fuck off.
He is in Thor 4, apparently, so that's a thing.
that marvellous piece of cinematic
Yeah,
history.
I've still not seen it. I'll get around to it. Maybe I'll watch that tonight.
It's basically Thor 3-2.
Well, you would hope so, with it being 4.
No, but rather than being
Thor
4, it's Thor 3-2.
Yeah. I've heard it's just...
Or
just
2.5, let's call it.
Just a lot of tongue-in-cheekness about it, and just, yeah. I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
I mean, it's fine.
We've got Dean O'Gorman as Feely.
You're just saying words now.
I mean, well, yeah, that's speech.
Yeah.
You know?
Dean O'Who?
Dean O'Gorman.
As
Feely.
Okay.
Was he in the bill, question mark?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
Come on. I'm doing terribly at this game.
Again, not really in anything that interesting, by which I mean known by me. Hercules, The Legendary Journey.
Nope.
Kevin Sorbo. Bad bloke.
Yeah, he's a bit of a twat, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a total twat. He's also in Xena. And also in Farscape, which is a very, very good show.
Bloody excellent show.
Bloody good.
Oh, we should totally do a Farscape marathon.
Oh, fuck off. There's loads of that show. I can't be
Well,
honest.
yeah, but it's great.
It is very good.
What other TV shows do you have a spacefaring thing where they're travelling, they get trapped in a thing, and the solution is, we're inside some living organism. We can't escape, it'll digest us. We need to make it puke.
Doctor Who.
Okay, fair play. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. And also Pinocchio. I think they do that in Pinocchio. And also the Tale of Jonah and
I was
the
going to say,
Whale.
don't say Jonah and the Whale to me. Don't say Jonah and the Whale to me.
What else? We've got Aidan Turner as Keely.
That name rings a bell. But I can't remember why. Carry on.
Well,
What's he been in?
do you think you're maybe remembering him because
Because
he
he
in
was
the
in the
bill?
bill.
Question mark.
I'm going to say yes.
No, he
Damn
wasn't in
it!
the bill.
What was
far
he in there?
far too young to be in the bill.
What was
I
it?
think.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Just rings a
You may know him from the Mortal Instruments City of Bones. No?
bell. I've never heard those words
Shocking.
together in that line.
I'm amazed. You may know him from The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
Is that the name of a film, or
that's the name of the film.
I don't recall that one either.
Shocking. I do actually. I know both the names, but I've never actually seen those things. But yeah, he is one of the dwarves that looks like not a dwarf. He just looks like a handsome-ish man. Just looks like Viggo Mortensen from Lord of the Rings, you know.
Okay, but what? I don't know. I don't know why that name rings a bell.
Well, I've told you all the things he's been in.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
And my lists are exhaustive and extensive.
Why are none of these dwarves getting actually properly singed?
Because it's not a real fire.
Yes.
None of them are really there.
Yes, I get that. I just mean in the context of the movie. Surely
in the context of the movie as well, there's
their hair would be fizzling away.
Maybe the fire's not that hot. Maybe Gandalf's doing some magic on it. Maybe
they're using wet logs.
Maybe they just maybe the dwarves themselves. I mean, everybody's kind of covered in snot in this scene, so maybe they've got a nice snotty glaze on them.
Is that for flavour?
No, it's to get their skin all nice and crispy. You know?
Oh, right, okay.
Get a nice crackly skin on your dwarf.
Well, you got to slice up the flesh for that. You don't want to. You never made crackling? You got to put some crisscross patterns and loads of salt. Oh yeah, you don't. Yeah, you're not a big meat eater, are you?
No, I'm not a small meat eater either. No. Who else we got? We got John Callan as Owen. Now they
as Owen.
No, Owen.
How are you spelling that?
OIN, but the O's got a little thing above it.
Like two little dots?
I can't remember, but I think it's a little upwardy flip thing.
Okay.
So in this, they say it like Oin.
Oh, look, they just got accidentally turned to stone because they weren't paying attention to what was going on around them.
Yeah, but it's like Gandalf just shows up and smashes the rock, and then they just have to put... Because you see this scene, they go to this area in the Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings movie, and you see them standing there, and it's a little nod back to, remember the good old days of Bilbo and his adventures. And they're frozen in like their argumentative poses, but they're not actually having an argument, and that's the thing. In the book, it's like Gandalf goes around the camp and is like throwing his voice and making the trolls argue with each other. But in this, he just shows up and smashes the rock, and the sun rises, and then.
But they didn't have enough time. They had too much of the other shit to pack into the story. They had so much material that they should have put it in. But they had other stuff they wanted to put in instead, which was obviously better than the books. I mean, the source material can only take you so far.
You got to go beyond.
You got to make unnecessary changes so the public know what's going on and they can follow the basic storyline.
You got to shove in a whole 2 subplots into the story in order to pad it out.
I'm also going to ask a question now, which I know I should.
At least.
I'll probably regret because it's a bit of a scientific question. And this is not really a scientific show.
Not really the place for that. But
let's just say that somehow the sun hitting a being could turn it to stone. Where is that energy coming from?
Oh, it's always the question, isn't it?
Like, that is just... I mean, think about replicators in Star Trek or a transporter. To materially change the atoms in the thing would require such vast amounts of energy and, like... It would be a fucking nuclear explosion amounts of energy.
Yeah.
And they just, like, get touched by a bit of sunlight and turn to... Have they got, like, Superman cells that absorb all the sunlight and let them...
I think it's magic and you should just get over it.
Oh, so they're drawing energy from some sort of magical subspace. Let's go with that.
Possibly, yeah. Midichlorians...
Wibbly wobbly.
Whatever. They're in the Matrix. Who gives a shit?
That would be a better explanation.
So, yeah... Going back to this character's name and the pronunciation of it, because I've got a beef with this, and I think I went over this when I did the Lord of the Rings ones. So in this, they pronounce it's spelled OIN, and it's got the little flick on the O, right? I can't see it on there because it's cheating.
No, I was literally just trying to find the word oin to.
So in this, they pronounce it as oin to rhyme with groin, which is wrong. But it should be more like on.
Really?
Like Owen. Not quite Owen, but Owen.
Which of the squiggly symbols are we talking here?
I can't remember that one, I think.
The Acute, perhaps?
Yeah, something like that. But it's like based on like an Old Norse name, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, notable aliases spell it O-Y-N, so it's like Oin.
It's not pronounced like that, though. Tolkien would be spinning in his grave. Because there's another character. There's the next character in the list here is Gloin. Now, it's Gloin. It's not Gloin. But anyway, we'll move on to that.
Apparently, Owen and Glowin are pronounced O-in and Glow-in with 2 syllables. They are not pronounced to rhyme with coin.
Okay, so, well, I was half right then, I guess. Or I'm completely wrong. Who cares? Moving on. John Callan. Was he in the bill? Question mark.
Well, the thing is, can we switch this up a little bit? Can you tell me what they've been in before you tell?
All right, okay.
Whether they've been in the bill?
Sure, yeah,
because I think that will help me in these situations.
Okay, I very much doubt that, but okay. John Callan. He was in Knights of the Old Republic 2. That's pretty cool. And he was also in Wurzel Gummidge Down Under. So, highs and lows.
Okay, based on nothing, I'll say yes, he was in the bill.
He was not in the bill,
Damn it!
no.
Are you keeping score of this? I'm doing really poorly. I think
I'm
I've got
not.
like 3 of them.
Drop a comment in the comments to let us know the score.
And drop a comment in the comments to let us know how much you love the game. In the bill, question mark.
And also let us know how to pronounce those names. Just let us know all the things that we've done and said in our lives that are wrong.
Yep.
That's what the YouTube comment section is for.
Yeah, but to be fair, like, if I am wrong about something, I generally do like to be corrected. Just a little notice that you just want to do it in a nice way. Don't want to say, you're a prick. Say it like this. It's like, oh, just a bit of information. You said it wrong, it's like this.
I don't know, I say go full antagonist.
Fair enough. Okay, well, everybody can antagonise you. And I would request that people just try and be a bit nice.
I should just note that I'm not going to read the comments anyway.
No?
I might glance at them. Depends how many there are. If there's like 50, then I won't. If there's like 2,
1.
then... Which is more likely, to be honest. Anyway, moving on. Peter Hambleton as Gloin. Which is definitely not pronounced to rhyme with groin.
No.
As we've established. He was in a bunch of TV movies.
He's got a stick insect in his mouth.
Yeah, because he's cool. He's cool in nature. An American,
a walking stick. Because that's a really original name. So stick insect, but...
They don't call them walking sticks.
They call them walking sticks.
Fuck
Have you never seen A Bug's Life? It's like, you're a walking stick, it's funny! And then I look into it, it's like, that's actually what stick insects are called in the States.
I thought it was just... Because he was a stick that was walking, you're a walking stick.
No.
Anyway. So Peter Hambleton was in a bunch of TV movies, none of which are even remotely worth paying attention to. Oh, I don't know, maybe some of them are good. I keep shitting on all of these actors' careers just because I can't be bothered.
Of these people are. I'm just going to say yes, he was in the bill.
He was not in the bill.
Damn it!
You didn't let me ask the question.
Would you well, pretend I didn't say
No,
that.
there's no going back now.
Okay.
Next up, God, there's so fucking many of these goddamn dwarves. There's too many. There's too many characters.
Specifically,
there's too many characters in the base story, and then they go and ladle all these other characters into them. And the trouble is, the dwarves were never given like individual personalities.
It's a weeping angel. Doctor, it's a weeping angel behind you. It just moved when you weren't looking at it.
You need to get Ace with some Nitro 9 or whatever.
No, you just need somebody else to be looking at it.
It's a ghost!
And not blink.
It's a ghost!
With a sword.
Do you think that's what a weeping angel looks like when it's moving?
That's an interesting question.
It's actually a completely illogical question because it has no answer because they can't... It doesn't make any sense to say what they look like when nobody's looking at it. It's the necromancer! It's a spooky thing! It's a spooky thing! Run away, Radagast, from the fake spooky thing!
And let your CG bunnies carry you to freedom.
So they're uncovering... Radagast is uncovering a sinister plot here. Because that was the ancient fortress of Dol Guldur.
Sorry, how fast can rabbits run?
Pretty fast, I think.
Is this a practical means of escape?
No. But he's a wizard, so I guess...
Or maybe he can soup them up.
Yeah, he's got... Oh, mate.
That is an ear problem right there.
Yeah, you've got some fucking sinus issues
out your
there.
ears, that's not good.
But again, he's not human, so...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think we don't know what they look like inside. It might just look
just
like...
hollow, aren't they?
Yeah, it might just look like a bit of dried out coral or something. It's just little porous and... Yeah.
Oh, is this a magical sword of some description? Is this Sting?
Yes, so Radagast was upset that all of his animals were getting mysteriously blighted and poisoned and killed and stuff. Goes off, finds Dol Guldur. There's some evil shenanigans going on there.
Right.
Dol Guldur was the ruin where he was, where the Weeping Angel was at.
You're telling me this. It's going in one ear and out the other, but
I know, but I love it. It's lore, and I love it. I love the lore.
Yeah, Brent Spiner did a great job on that character.
Right, next up we got Jed Brophy as Nori. Another Hercules alum.
Okay.
He was in The Two Towers as an orc. He was in King Kong. He was in District 9.
As a prawn?
I don't think so. No, he was one of the main guys, like colleagues, I think. Oh, actually, no, he was one of the police, I think, that are hunting him down.
Okay.
And he's in The Rings of Power. So he's got a bit of
shit.
Bit of Lord of the Rings, bit of Middle Earth history behind him. But the real question is,
this was the sequence that wanted to give up on
awful.
the film last time.
They don't look like they're there. Nothing looks like it's there.
Well, it's because it's not. They're all.
It looks like
CG.
It looks like something out of Roger Rabbit, for Christ's sake.
No, it looks like something out of the fucking prequel trilogy. Like where it's just like CG on CG. All that. He's obviously in New Zealand, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, like some. That's the thing.
Look at that. It just look. It doesn't. There's no shadows. There's no light. It just looks like they're just like pasted over the top.
Exactly.
And the shadows here just
and you
don't
wouldn't
look right.
If it wasn't shot the way it was shot. If it was shot like they shot the Lord of the Rings, you probably wouldn't notice that as much. It would still be very obvious. Like the wargs in Lord of the Rings, they were mostly CGI and were mostly kind of running around in daylight like this. But that's another bit of lore that they shit on.
So fucking many of these people as well. I don't give a shit about any of them. And there's like a huge crowd of these dwarves. I don't know who half of them are. Half of them haven't even said anything.
Exactly. Like they don't ever.
There's so much material they could have expanded on just to focus on these.
I suspect that Tolkien came up with them because he just liked rattling off a bunch of nonsense names that vaguely rhymed because it would make his kids laugh. None of them really have any personalities. None of them have any distinct characteristics except the style of their hair or the colour of their cloak or whatever. Anyway, another thing that they spoil, lore-wise, is a big thing in The Lord of the Rings was Saruman making the Uruk-hai, which is a blend of orc and man.
Right.
So that they're fleet of foot and can move in daylight. Because regular orcs, they can go out in daylight, but it doesn't harm them. It doesn't physically damage them or anything like it does with trolls. It's just they don't really like it.
They've got sensitive eyes.
Yeah, it makes them all confused and they can function. They probably could be doing this.
See, that was a guy in a suit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So these look so much better,
and you can tell when it's not a thing in a suit, and when it's CGI, when it's a person in a suit. But anyway, so that was the big technological leap forward, as it were, in that era. Was Saruman making these orcs that could move as quickly as humans can, and can also go out in sunlight and function normally. But in this, the regular goddamn Mordor orcs are just... Or I don't even think they're Mordor orcs, I think they're just orky orcs. Look at them, they're cutting about in sunlight like it's nothing. They shouldn't be able to do that. Lore, I love it. Moving on. Did we establish if Jed Brophy was in the bill, question
We
mark?
didn't, no.
Well, he's not. So there you go.
Thanks, that was a freebie.
Mark Hadlow as Dory. In Xena, in King Kong, in Mortal Engines. but was he in the bill? Question mark.
Yes, but I don't care.
No, he was not in the bill.
Okay, I don't care.
Oh my god! Right,
This is just.
you'll be glad to know we have reached the final dwarf.
Thank fuck for that. How many dwarves actually are there?
12.
Fucking hell.
There are 12 dwarves. You don't need that many.
7 was enough.
I think there's 12 anyway. It seems like it.
In terms of Snow White, I was making.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you don't need that many. You need like 1 or 2, because there's only 1 or 2 of them that actually really have any lines or do anything that isn't just bumbling around. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm getting what you mean by how weird it is that there's just like human-like dwarves and then there's dwarf-like dwarves.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a
odd.
weird, jarring thing.
It's like James Nesbitt does not look like a dwarf. He
Like
just
Richard
looks like...
Armitage, he looks like he looks like he should be an elf. He looks just really handsome and glowing, and
I think you quite like this guy.
oh, he's a handsome fella, you know.
He's alright.
Anyway, some other returning cast members from the previous films. We've got Cate Blanchett returning as Galadriel for some reason.
Is that?
But was she in the bill?
Is this Cate Blanchett from Romeo plus Juliet? Was she in that? Was that right? Or was that Claire Danes?
I don't think she was in
Yeah,
that.
it was Claire Danes, wasn't it? Don't know why I'm mixing them up.
The question is, was she in the bill? Question mark.
Probably yes.
No, she was not.
Jesus Christ, I'm so bad at this. Like, even if I was guessing 50-50, I should get better odds than this. You know what I mean? Like,
we've also got Hugo Weaving returning as Elrond for some reason. But was he in the bill? Question mark. Definitely not. Because he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's from New Zealand.
Australia or New Zealand, one of the two.
Yeah. They're basically indistinguishable.
Certainly from the Southern Hemisphere, and didn't grow up learning acting
Indeed.
in the UK, where he would be able to fuck off to Manchester or wherever they film it and do
Quite so.
the bill. Where was the bill set?
Hmm?
Where was the bill even set? Where was it filmed?
Oh,
I want to say like somewhere in the north
London.
of England. Was it London? Then?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Heartbeat was the one that was set in the north
Gosh.
in like the 40s.
The Heartbeat is great because it like, or is it Heartbeat I'm thinking of where it obviously starts in the 60s or whatever. It goes on longer than the 60s ever did, and they don't progress more than like 4 years. Like they have like years and years, like decades of the show that means that they would probably be up to like the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about like soap opera worlds. They seem like
it's like The Simpsons, isn't it?
Yeah, just like these bizarre, like parallel dimension time loop kind of situations.
I suppose that kind of is what life would feel like if nobody aged.
Nobody ages, nobody really leaves. Occasionally people die. But
occasionally people just suddenly look like different people.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in life, where you're walking down the street, you meet somebody you've known, hey, you know, completely different looking person. Oh, no, yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have been recast like 5 times already.
Yeah?
Yeah. They keep getting just total assholes to play me. It's
They
weird.
do. They do.
It's very strange. Anyway, next we've got Christopher Lee returning as Saruman for some reason. Incredible that he was able to actually do this, given that he was like 500 years old at this point. And you know what? By the end of these movies, we'll all be 500 years old. Yeah. But the real question is, Christopher Lee, was he in the bill? Question mark.
Well, I got stung by the Ian McKellen thing earlier, but utilising the same logic I used that I'd said no for Ian McKellen, I also want to say no for Christopher Lee, and I shall.
Correct, he was not in the bill.
See, this is the thing. Like, I really thought Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen would have been a sort of similar calibre of I'm too good to have gone on the bill, or I was too far ahead of my career to have needed to go on the bill when the bill was out. I think that's more the case for Christopher Lee.
Yeah, definitely.
There's probably 10 years between them, isn't there?
Yeah. Yes. Next we've got...
I got a point.
You did get 1 point.
Ding!
Ding!
Thank you.
That's not this bit. That's the bit at the end. We're gonna... Just you fucking wait.
Can I just get a tick then?
Yeah, you can have whatever you like. Gold star.
Thank you.
Pat on the back. Whatever you like. Manu Bennett.
Who is...
as Azog.
Manu Bennett is Boba Fett and Jango Fett and the clones, isn't he?
No. That's Tamara Morrison.
Oh, Manu Bennett is Deathstroke in the Arrow series or something like that? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And is Azog in this, who is the big, the CGI pale orc that got his arm chopped off earlier.
Oh, God, yeah.
But the real question is, Manu Bennett, was he in the bill?
Almost certainly not.
Definitely not. Again, spent most of his life on a different continent, so wasn't particularly practical.
Not only a different continent, on a completely separate hemisphere on the opposite side of the planet.
Yeah, yeah. Next, we've got Barry Humphries as the Great Goblin.
Does the goblin go, "Hello, possums"? Look at you there.
Sort of does, actually. It's got a bit of that about it. But Barry Humphries, were they in the bill? Question mark.
Oh, look how Ron ages backwards. Were they in the bill? Question mark. I've forgotten who they are. I'll say
Barry
no.
Humphries.
Oh no,
Definitely not.
no.
And next we've got Benedict Cumberbatch.
No.
As Smaug.
I'm going to say no
and
straight
also
off the bat.
the voice of the Necromancer.
I'm still going to say no straight off the bat.
Benedict Cumberbatch, was he in the bill? Question mark.
I'm going to say no.
You are correct. He
Yes.
was not in the bill.
See, he's above the bill. He would never go in the bill, even if they
Benedict
asked him.
Cumberbatch is shit.
No, I know, but he believes he's above it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like, he's the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to go in the bill. I'm a proper actor. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, not that I
don't think he really would have had the
I
option.
think in real life he's a nice enough bloke.
I think his career probably kicked off a bit too late in the day for him to be considered for the bill.
Don't they have people that are older people on the bill?
No.
Is it all
it's
18-year-old criminals?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And last, but by no means least, we have Ian Holm and Elijah Wood returning as Mario and Luigi Baggins. Were they, either of them, in the bill? Question mark.
Do I just have to say whether either of them is in the bill, not whether...
Well, both. Yeah, the question applies to both of them. Yeah.
Do I think either of them were in the bill? Yes. Do I know which of them would have been in the bill? No.
Well, I've got news for you. Neither of them were in the bill.
Fair enough.
So
I
that
really
was a
want
fun
someone.
game.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I can be asked, but I want someone to go through this and check my score. I reckon I got like 3 out of 15 or something.
Somebody will do it.
Please do.
Right. Let's talk about some fun things, shall we?
Okay.
First,
Star Trek.
We've listen. First of all, I just wanted to kind of dig. We've kind of touched on this already, but your history with, or lack thereof, with the Tolkien mythos. You've seen the Lord of the Rings movies.
I have.
You don't like them for some reason.
I don't not like them. I feel ambivalent about them. I understand that they're well made. I watch them and I'm like, yeah, these are films. These are well made. The special effects are good. Like,
that's a good sign.
For what it is, it's an enjoyable story, and I could sit down and I could probably watch them and enjoy them for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never go out of my way to watch them. Like, it's not something that I've rewatched a lot of things in my life, but at no point have I thought, oh, it's been a while since I've watched Lord of the Rings. Let's sit down and watch that, because I'm like, no, I don't need that in my life. It doesn't bring anything to me. Like I think it's my aversion to just generalized fantasy shows where I'm just like, because there's no real rules and it's like a wizard did it, I just don't care. Whereas I can even take sort of soft sci-fi like Star Trek, Next Generation and stuff, where it is essentially sort of sci-fi fantasy. But because they pretend it's grounded and they kind of have like interesting discussions between humans and about aliens and about things that you can kind of grasp within the real world, I kind of accept it. Like, yeah, it's futuristic, it's very different, but I get it. With this, it's like I have to care about the lore and the backstory to even understand what the fuck is going on.
Well,
and I find it so hard to give a shit. That's my problem with these films.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. There is a lot of lore and backstory to everything because Tolkien was very in depth in that way.
And I feel like it would almost be better if somebody could like write me like a Cliff Notes version of the story, and I can read it and figure out what's going on. And then when I would watch it, I'd probably appreciate it more. Because I haven't read the books and I don't know all the backstory and the lore, I just don't care to know, because it's just not like watching the films doesn't make me ask questions other than why is this so irrational or weird? Why does this not make sense? Why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do that? And it's like watching a badly made horror film. You're like, no, don't fucking run into the room where you know that there's like an open door and the killer's going to stab you. Like it's just seems so like unnecessary and weird. I don't get it. I don't get the love for it.
Well, the thing I will say is for the Lord, not so much for these movies because they do the Hobbit movies because they do dig into some of the deeper lore. With the Lord of the Rings movies, you don't really need to know. You don't really need to have read anything because you could just take them as they are presented, and it explains everything you need to know in those movies.
It's like the questions I have about the magical abilities of wizards and stuff like that. Like when you see them using their power, they seem like epically powerful. And it makes me think, why the fuck don't they just do all this themselves? And like, and I know there are probably reasons for it. And I know it doesn't make the story good and all this sort of thing. But I just think, Gandalf, just do it yourself, you lazy prick. You could definitely do this. You definitely have the cognitive fortitude to handle carrying the ring. Like, you're a fucking wizard.
It's not what Gandalf's all about, though. He's not about solving... Because he probably could. If he went off on his own, he probably could... Maybe not defeat Sauron himself, but could do, because they have a bit of a scuffle later on, I think, in this. But he could do quite a lot on his own. But he is more about like elevating and empowering the people of Middle Earth to defend themselves against these extremely powerful, evil, magical entities, rather than just solving all the problems. Him just going in and solving all the problems for them. So that's why.
Andy Serkis? Because the way he's moving, it looks very Andy Serkis.
I don't think it is. No, I think he only did. He did some second unit directing on these movies because they did 250 consecutive days of shooting for these 3 films, and Peter Jackson literally nearly died because of it. Yeah.
Is that all 3 they did in a one-er?
All 3 in a one-er, yeah.
And they were originally only going to do 2, weren't they?
Yes.
That's got to be painful. There are surely better ways of having a false arm than stabbing a spike into your arm and out your elbow.
They're orcs.
So they don't experience pain because they look like it hurt when he cuts his hand off.
They're all about fucking pain and suffering. They're evil little monsters, They don't give a shit about
Are they just
inflicting pain and suffering on you. They don't give a shit about proper medicine.
BDSM loving freaks.
Essentially, yeah. They just...
Not that loving BDSM makes you a freak, but...
They're all... depends if you mean freak is a bad thing.
They are... Well, yes, fair. But they're just like... I don't get it.
They're evil, ugly monsters, basically, that... They don't give a shit about healthcare. They don't have an NHS. There's no orc.
But if he fights someone, he's going to get blood in his elbow hole. That's going to get infected.
They don't give a shit. All they care about.
Well, he wouldn't be able to chop more of his arm off if it went gangrenous. He'd probably care.
Well,
I refuse to believe that he didn't care that he just got his hand cut off.
They're immune to disease and stuff as well. So you can hack limbs off an orc and they're still functional.
That sausage was not cooked over that fire.
No, they had a plate of sausages back at Bilbo's as well that looked kind of
grilled,
uncooked, or partially cooked.
They
looked like those little cold cocktail sausages.
Chipolatas.
So you've never read The Hobbit either, presumably.
I tried to, and I gave up.
I'm kind of this. Like I said before, I've tried to read the books several times, but I just cannot do it.
Oh, it's not the person that ages in reverse.
Yay! It's Gandalf doesn't age in reverse.
Gandalf doesn't age at all. He's just been old looking for years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah, we should have made these years ago when we all looked a bit younger.
This is
age may have changed me. Not at all.
Not so much.
Quite the opposite. You look great in a few years' time. Oh, she's de-aged, which doesn't look bad. I mean, I'm not saying they look old at all.
But this is all so pointless. None of this has anything to do with the adventure that the Hobbit is on.
Look at him. He just looks so silly, that wizard. Look at him.
What's wrong with your face?
What's wrong with your terrible wig?
It's so... God almighty. I mean, he was not really physically present for a lot of... Like, the Christopher Lee's parts were all shot in London, where the rest of it was shot in New Zealand, because they were not getting that guy on a plane. You put him on a plane and he would disintegrate. I mean, he's dead now, obviously, but you know what I mean.
Pressure change would make his ears implode, not just like pop.
So have you ever played any of the games?
No.
So you don't know anything about it. You're just not really interested in the whole fantasy.
I think that's the thing. It's not that I don't really. It's not that I don't like it. I just can't find anything interesting about it that draws me in. And it's kind of like because I read the Harry Potter books and I enjoyed the Harry Potter books and I watched the films and I kind of enjoyed the films for what they are. But as an adult now, I look back on them, and first of all, like, there's so much weird subtext in Harry Potter and awfulness that is now coming more and more to light. And then with this, it was brought to a head when I realised that not only am I quite happy to boycott the new game by not playing it, I don't actually want to play it.
Yeah.
I just don't give a shit about that world anymore.
Easy choice, that, wasn't it?
It's just like, I don't need to fund any more of J.K. Rowling's weirdness. I don't need to be involved in that. But I also just... It's hard to even care about it because it's just so much beyond me now. I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that's largely how I feel about Lord of the Rings. Like, people love it. I know people love it and they make it their whole personality and they're like, they want to be a dwarf, they want to be a hobbit, all this shit.
I'm kind of suspicious of people who...
make their whole personality about anything. This is the trouble with any of these things. Like, just don't have one thing to make your personality about.
The reason I totally understand your reasons for not liking it, but for the Lord of the Rings movies in particular, it's just the world is so real, It's so. And I know it's fantastical,
but that's what I don't feel. I don't feel that it feels real. I feel that it's.
Well, for me, the realness. The realness of it comes from the fact that the characters are real. And I always say this about any fiction, is that you can have the most absurd premise that you like, the most unexplained, like, magical systems and whatever else. As long as you've got well-developed characters that are responding to that world as in a realistic way.
But this is my problem with this film. I don't feel they do that. Within the first 5 minutes, why is Bilbo not really pissed off? And like, Gandalf, get these fucking weirdos out of my house. I'm not doing this. Fuck off. Like, he's rude enough about his family and friends and cousins and shit. Why can't he just tell this bloody supposed friend of his, get these lunatics away from me. I don't want to get involved in a stupid quest. Like, it has nothing to do with me. I could quite happily live out my life in the Shire, puffing weed for the rest of my life. The thing about Bilbo is that he kind of does want to go off on adventures. Is the thing, and that's why he's kind of at odds with his family, and because everybody else in Hobbiton and the Shire is just like, keep to yourself. Don't do anything exciting or adventurous. Just stay at home and tend to your garden and eat your pantry and whatever else, and smoke your pipe weed. And just think about the amount of suffering he could have saved himself if he had just said no. Because not only does he experience awful shit in this film, I don't fully remember about the trilogy, for the rest of the time between these films and the fucking Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy, he's like being quietly destroyed by the fucking ring. Like, he's slowly going mental. He's slowly becoming a potential Gollum because he's got this ring in his possession. Yeah. Like, that's a way too much unnecessary suffering for a poor innocent hobbit that fucking Gandalf comes along and fucks with. Yeah, but none of them know what the ring is at this point. Okay. They just think it's a magical ring. Like, this whole all this stuff that's going on just now with all these wizards blabbing about shit, that is them kind of uncovering the mystery of Sauron is holed up at Dol Guldur disguised as the necromancer, and then later on Bilbo finds the ring, and Gandalf's like, a magic ring. There aren't too many of those going about in the world, and hang on. Usually they're pretty significant. Is the Rings of Power not set before this when there's like dozens of rings?
There's not that many rings. There's
like
actually no. There's quite a few. But yeah, I think that series is set around about the time of the rings being forged, which is its own bit of lore, which I love. I love the lore. I love it. I genuinely do love it. I thought the world building with it is just incredible. It's like the Star Wars expanded universe, except if George Lucas was good at doing it, good at world building, which I guess he kind of is. Also did it all himself, because obviously the thing with the expanded Star Wars universe is a lot of it was like
just written by randoms.
Just like novels written by other people and that kind of thing. Tolkien built this entire thing purely from his own imagination, and that is just amazing. And
so, I mean, because I think is he the origin of this kind of specific style of fantasy, or was this done at all beforehand?
Sort of. I think he's most responsible for popularizing.
Jesus Christ! Why are they standing on the edge of a cliff to have this chat?
Because that's what you do in this world. Is you find a vista and you have a conversation overlooking that vista. You're not allowed to have a conversation if you're not looking at some...
You know what he just said to her? He said, "I hate sand because it's coarse and it gets everywhere."
Yeah. But yeah, so I like the vagueness of the magic in the world. It's just like there are magical entities and they're generally to be feared because nobody really understands how they work. They just know that they're very powerful, and if you happen to come across one, you're probably going to die. Or they're going to be your friend. Or it's going to be a Tom Bombadil situation. And who the fuck knows what that guy's all about?
Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil.
Tom Bombadil.
Who is Tom Bombadil?
Tom Bombadil was a character from The Lord of the Rings that the Fellowship that Frodo and Sam and the other hobbits encounter on their way to join the Fellowship. They're on their way to Rivendell. He's just this magical guy who lives in the forest, and he's got a wife, and he's immortal, and the One Ring doesn't affect him.
So why didn't they get him to take the bloody ring to
Mordor? Because he's also incredibly aloof. He's just like he just wants to live in the forest and be left alone.
So does fucking Bilbo.
Yeah, but he's not an immortal magical entity. Nobody.
That's why Bilbo should be the one to be left alone, because he's actually mortal and is going to potentially die.
I mean, he was given the choice. He was. That's the thing. And the one good change in the films as opposed to the book was that he actually makes the active choice to go on the adventure, whereas in the book he just kind of gets swept along with it. They basically just kidnap him and force him to. Because he's a small person.
I mean, it feels a lot like that is actually what happened in this. But
well, no, because there was the whole contract thing, and they've let him sleep on it overnight, and they weren't actually forcing him to do it. Fair enough, they barged into his house and ate all of his food and had that big party. And that wasn't cool, guys. Come on.
I'm just saying that if anybody ever did that to me, they would not be welcome in my house, and I would not go on an adventure with them.
Well, it depends. They might have given you a compelling incentive to go on said adventure. Or maybe you're just keen on having an adventure.
Maybe.
But the point is, in this, Bilbo actually has the choice to not go on the adventure, and he chooses to.
Well, then I will concede that point and say, good for him for having a bit of his own personal agency.
Yes. This is another example of something that they needlessly expanded from the book. So, this is a bit with the stone giants. So they're going over the mountain, and in the book there's like one sentence that says, "Oh, there were some giant creatures having a scuffle," and they all go, "Oh, wow, that's
look, giant creatures having a scuffle.
That's a thing," and then they just move on because it's a little bit of flavour to the world, a little bit of extra detail to the world, but it doesn't actually really matter that much. And in this, they extend it to a full-on fucking CG monstrosity.
No way that none of them are injured by that.
And they're clearly just trying to replicate the bit in Fellowship of the Ring when they're trying to cross the mountain and Saruman is summoning his lightning and storms and all that to stop them so that they have to go through the mines of Moria. because they'll mostly die in there, and they mostly do. Well, one of them does anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So there's none of that. They're not actually.
Sorry, this is laughable.
These stone giants are not actually described really. Like, they could be anything. They could just be like trolls, really, or big orcs that are just having a rock fight. And in this, they turn it into this whole extended fucking nonsense action scene for no reason. Bizarre. Isn't it great that all the dwarves have such unique names and looks and personalities? Isn't that a fun thing?
I'm saying nothing.
The great thing about a 3-hour movie is you really get to sit with all of these characters and really get to know them, you know? Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm really connected with
Hobbit 1 and
Boffer
and Dwarf 2.
Biffer and Baffer and Queefer and whatever, you know.
Oh god, this is such trash, man. Why are we watching this?
Because it's fun. We're having a fun, good time.
I don't like being told when I'm having a fun, good time. It doesn't feel like a fun, good time.
We're having some fun. Having some fun with this. We played a fun game.
We did, yes.
We'll have another fun game to play at the end, although you hate it, but I love it. Because you hate it.
Yeah. I really think me being part of these commentaries is really just a way for you to torment me in some way. Like,
I mean, that's become part of it, but that's
sort
of inevitable.
I can't judge you for it.
I mean, feel free to come up with feel free to come up with some obnoxious, half-formed idea of a game that can break my brain.
Right, fair play. The best I could muster was a stolen poem.
That was very good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You told me about that. I was like, have you seriously written an entire
No.
poem for this thing?
It was me basically playing off your
the
Sonic
Sonic
thing.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, I've got a much better song to steal.
Do you know how much prep time Peter Jackson and his various teams had for Lord of the Rings?
No, so I've just been distracted once again by Bilbo's awful rubber feet, and I'm like, why is he not wearing steel-toed boots? Like, this is seriously not a good situation.
Hobbits don't wear.
I refuse to believe that
they don't need to wear shoes because.
I refuse to believe that if a rock landed on his foot, it wouldn't really hurt and he'd lose a toenail.
Right? No, I don't think it would because they're. Hobbit
feet. Are they invulnerable?
Hobbit feet are basically like naturally grown shoes. They've got like sort of a thick leathery sole and they're kind of furry on top as insulation and padding. Their toenails are probably quite hardy and thick and...
Their toenails are like rhino horn.
Ingrown to fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you know how much prep time there was for the original Lord of the Rings movies?
Probably about 5 times more than this film.
Pretty much, yeah. So it had about 3 years just on pre-production for the Lord of the Rings
and
movies.
This probably got 6 months or some shit.
About something like that, yeah. Because there was a whole lot of... Well, we're about to get into the production history side of it. Because that's fun. That's fun stuff to talk about.
I swear he just sniffed his mount and said the smell was fresh. I know he was bending down to smell the ground, but it looked like he was just sniffing the mount's neck.
Maybe he shat himself.
Everybody prefers their own brand.
Got to fall through at some point.
Yes.
Right, the production history. Do you want to talk a bit about the production history of this absolute shit show?
I have a feeling you might.
It's a mess. And
you'd never tell from the result.
Well, some of it.
If you told me this was had difficulty in production, I'd really struggle to believe you.
Incredibly troubled from day one, and I'm not going to cover it all this week or in this edition. Some of it will have to be in the next one because there's a lot to talk about.
There's 2 more of these pricks.
Yep. So Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh, partner in life and in business, wanted to make a Hobbit movie back in the mid-90s. Just one Hobbit movie.
Great idea.
Great idea.
And this is obviously before Lord of the Rings, so they were wanting to make it in chronological order as well.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe that would have meant.
Well, actually, I say that the plan then, the original plan was for a trilogy that started with The Hobbit, and then the following 2 films would be based on Lord of the Rings.
That would have been a much better idea. Can you imagine if they did that when Lord of the Rings came out? The first one was The Hobbit, and then you didn't need to recast John Home, and you just had him. Ian Home. Who's John Home? Nobody.
John Hurt.
John Hurt, yeah. Ian Home. That would have been great. You would have had The Hobbit with him, and then he would have been put in slightly old man makeup, and then introduced Frodo and done that. I would have gone with that.
Yeah.
I mean, no criticism of Martin Freeman specifically, but if they did that and had like 3 fucking years to prep and prepared it and did it well, like they did with the original Lord of the Rings, I could, go with that. But then it's just like, oh, money's nice, isn't it? We could do 3 films, not 2. It's like,
well, I mean, that is kind of what it came down to. To begin with, there was a dispute about who actually held the rights to The Hobbit, because oddly enough, at the time anyway, one group had the rights to the Lord of the Rings, and another group, I think it was like the Tolkien estate themselves, retained the rights
to
like
the
Marvel
Hobbit. And Fox.
Kinda, yeah. But anyway, Jackson obviously ended up making the Lord of the Rings trilogy that we all know and love, apart from you.
We all know it.
We
definitely all know it.
Guillermo del Toro.
Try that again.
No, I shan't.
Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro came on board in 2008.
He would have made a great one.
He would have. Apparently, he wasn't much of a Tolkien fan either.
Maybe not. Then I mean, I am of the opinion that if you are making something like Lord of the Rings or something like that, you need to be a fan and actually at least research it and actually have a bit of knowledge. Well, because that's what often destroys these things when you have somebody that knows it vaguely and doesn't get the essence of it.
Well,
Picard seasons 1 and 2. Captain Picard.
Yeah, got a nasty cough there.
Yeah.
Want to get that looked at.
What I will say, just as a throwaway comment, even though I've shat on Picard 1 and 2 seasons, the 3rd season so far has been okay.
I've heard it's not too bad. Yeah.
It feels like Star Trek for the first time in a while. It's the most Star Trek-y
I've heard that basically they just brought back a lot of the Next Generation cast and we're just going to kind of do the Next Generation now.
What really surprised me was that it's not even the characters they've brought back that make it Star Trek-y. They actually, I mean, you can't get past the fact that we're never going to get like well-lit sets and like all that sort of thing. We've got to have the J.J. Abrams darkness and weirdness. Sorry, what the fuck is going on right now?
They just got captured. Yeah, they're being captured again because that's what the stories were.
Right, never mind. Oh, they're gonna get
they
dragged
they go to a place, they encounter a problem, they get kidnapped, they have a little fun time escaping, and then rinse and repeat until the end, basically. But yeah, so Del Toro, he liked The Hobbit well enough as a kid. Mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings. Basically, same as you said, it contained too much like geography and genealogy, and it's just too complex.
Where did he learn to fight?
He's using the Force. See, he's got his lightsaber.
Oh, he's got midichlorians as well, has he?
Yeah, he's got his little stunted Yoda.
Well, that was weird. I swear
lightsaber.
there was a shot there. I mean, I think that was as well. But when he goes from real to CG, that looks trippy.
Yeah. And he did just sort of just fall down like a rubber band.
Yeah, if he fell like that right now, he would have broken his spine.
Yeah, he would be dead.
Cracked his skull. He'd definitely be dead.
And he dropped his sword, so his sword's probably going to land on him, or he's going to land on it.
But it's glowing. He'll find it. It's fine.
Yeah, but he's
jabbed in his side.
I mean, like yeah.
Oh, I found it. It appears to be jabbed in my abdomen.
So anyway, he and that's fair enough. Like I can't really be bothered with that. So I like to dig into the extended lore now and again because it's kind of interesting.
Well, who's this chunky chap?
That's the Goblin King. That's Barry Humphries.
Hello there, possums. Do you like my crown? Look, it's got some teeth in it.
So he and Jackson Walsh and Philippa Boyens, who's another producer on these films.
Name rings a bell from something.
They wrote script. They all seemed quite excited about it. Constantly discovering new things about the story and changing the script and just having a real fun time with it.
Just randomly inserting crap whenever they discovered new things.
Well, I don't. I wasn't really that way at that point because they were just trying to build.
Oh, sorry. This is Guillermo del Toro days.
Yeah, this is just very early days, like just building the story itself.
Just while we're on Guillermo del Toro, how much do you want a real Hellboy 3?
I couldn't care less, really.
Really? Okay.
I like Hellboy. I didn't really care too much for the second one. And I've not seen the most recent one because I just don't care that much. Like you with Lord of the Rings, it just like water off a Teflon duck.
It's amusing actually that there are certain things like obviously that is ridiculous fantasy Hellboy, but I can go with that.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain anything either.
But I think because there's an aspect of the real world to it that I can connect it.
Right.
And I think it's when this is just like you're in a fantasy land where nothing you know is true. But for some reason, they still use similar turns of phrase. They still speak English. There's still all these random connections. And that's a lot of the problem in Star Trek sometimes when you go to places and you're like, why are you behaving in such a human way?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, that's the thing. It's all allegorical, isn't it? So it's all very... It's like any science fiction and fantasy. It's all deriving its stuff from real-world things.
He really needs to see a dermatologist.
Again, they do not have healthcare. Also, what's going on with that big chin?
Wattle.
Wattle was the little blue flying guy from Phantom Menace.
Oh, very good. That was Watto. Watto.
Anyway, so the Del Toro's plan was to have two films.
Right.
One of which was just a straight adaptation of The Hobbit.
Okay.
With a sequel acting as a bridge between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so then they would have taken crap from Silmarillion and all that shit and done all that.
So his initial, like, the sort of look and everything of Del Toro's movie was going to be wildly different from Peter Jackson's films.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's
because you know what Del Toro's like. He's all weird creatures with eyes in their hands and goopy snot aliens everywhere and whatever else.
Yeah.
Fishmen and what have you. And I really like Guillermo del Toro. And
what you're describing there is Hellboy rather than
Well, he did Hellboy, so
Yeah.
I really like him. He seems like a very nice person, and I just admire him very much as a filmmaker. Anyway,
first appearance of the Ring there, I think.
Yeah.
Does he have loads of annoying chats with Smeagol in this as well?
Well, they've got the whole riddle bit to do. So yeah, his Hobbit movie was going to look and feel very, very different because it was going to be set in like this golden age of Middle Earth where everything's mostly fine. It's like an age of... It's like a sort of Cold War situation, but... because Sauron hasn't been defeated, he's just been driven off, and is he coming back, and all the rest of it.
He's frozen in carbonite, isn't he?
Essentially, yeah. And then his linking movie, his second movie, was going to adopt more of the Peter Jackson style.
Okay.
And then it would blend, and by the time it gets to The Lord of the Rings, it looks like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Okay. That's a strange decision, if you ask me. Actually, I would rather have a consistent tone throughout them all. Although I suppose maybe there's something different about the stories. If anything, I would have thought The Hobbit would be more light-hearted.
Well, it's supposed to be. Like The Lord of the Rings is supposed to be the kind of grim and gritty, world-ending consequences and everything. Whereas this is just The Hobbit's just supposed to be a whimsical children's adventure tale.
Oh, so that going out shows that Gollum's a murderer.
No, the sword sting, it glows in the presence of orcs.
Yeah, and Gollum just killed one, didn't he?
Yes.
So
light
going out shows that Gollum's a murderer.
Yeah.
Irredeemable!
That's good visual storytelling, sort of, I guess. Ron Perlman,
Hellboy!
Speaking of Hellboy, Ron Perlman was going to star as
Gandalf?
Bjorn.
Oh, I thought he was going to be Gandalf.
Bjorn.
He would be a perfect Gandalf.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. I could see that working.
I'm definitely joking, but maybe.
It'd be a very, very different film, but yeah. I think Bjorn was the dwarf king that got killed, beheaded at the start.
He was an abbot, wasn't he? I'll stop.
Just going to let that one sit there. Oh no, sorry. Bjorn is the guy who can change into a bear. I don't think we've actually been to that bit of the story yet, or it's not in these movies. I can't remember. But yeah, Ron Perlman was going to be a werebear, essentially. Not actually a werebear. I know Bjorn in the stories isn't technically a werebear lore-wise, but is essentially a werebear. It's a man that turns into a bear, so, whatever. But that would have been cool. Ron Perlman. I like Ron Perlman.
The birthday of Man Bear Pig.
Don't do that. Keep your fucking
South Park references to myself
out of my shit. I don't want anything to do with it. That's all right, I suppose. Brian Blessed was going to be Thorin.
Gordon's alive!
Thorin's alive! Frodo Baggins! Etc. That would have been cool. Del Toro said that Ian McShane would have made a perfect dwarf. I agree with that.
Ian McShane's good.
Yeah, I like Ian McShane.
Deadwood?
He's in American Gods. He's in the John Wick movies.
Have you seen Deadwood?
I've not seen Deadwood.
You should. It's good.
It was, in fact, Del Toro's idea to cast Sylvester McCoy as Radagast the Brown.
It's good casting. I think, yeah,
I'm glad they stuck with that. It's an excellent choice. I mean, he shouldn't be in the movie, but...
Yeah, is it me or does Gollum not look as good as he used to?
I don't know. Let's take a look. Can't really see properly because there's an annoying reflection on the screen and it's a very dark scene. Yes. But I don't know. I think he looks alright. He doesn't look any worse than in the Lord of the Rings movies. I did notice when I was doing the Lord of the Rings movie commentaries, I did find that the CG for Gollum is sort of shown its age a bit there.
Okay.
So yeah, I think.
Has it shown its age as badly as Blarp from Lord of the Rings? From Lost in Space?
No, that was shown its age
at the time.
5 minutes after the film started.
When are we going to watch that movie?
I keep wanting to, and people keep saying no. People keep rejecting.
Okay, here's what we'll do. If we don't get a comment saying you've got to do the next Hobbit film next, the next one we'll just slip that in there to have a bit of fun, and then do the next two.
No, we're just firing through these.
Oh, God.
No. If we do that, it's just going to drag this whole thing out even more, you realise.
I just need a break in between, I think. I don't think I... But,
well, we'll have a good week or so between films,
Fair play.
Yeah, I don't want to intersperse them with other stuff. But we will be doing Lost in Space at some point, because, fair enough, I do put a poll up sometimes to let my adoring fans decide what I'm going to do, but sometimes I will just decide, like with Sonic. No, Sonic was actually a vote thing. But with Ant-Man, I just decided we're going to do Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because it was an Ant-Man time of year. And fucking SEO, baby.
Oh, look at his cute little Grogu eyes.
See, he looks pretty good. I think it's
he does look alright, yeah.
I think it's a little... It's hindered by the same thing that hinders the rest of the film, just the way in which the film was shot. It's kind of holding it back a little bit, but then it's holding everything in the film back in the same way. So
I've got a lore question for you.
Go ahead. I'll probably not know the answer.
It was established, I believe, that Gollum was a hobbit, right?
Sort of. Hobbit adjacent.
Okay, but he was a sort of normal human-looking person.
He was a halfling. He was a halfling.
So he was okay.
A hobbit-like creature.
So what was it about the ring in his possession that turned him into Gollum, other than just his obsession with it? And because I can imagine in a lot of ways, he's literally gone a bit loopy and he's living in a cave. He doesn't care about clothes. He's quite happy just walking all fours. I can almost get that.
Well,
but why does he look quite so mutated?
It's just the influence of the ring on him.
So in that case,
you actually in the Return of the King at the start, you see his transition from regular hobbity person to full on Gollum.
Okay.
And it's just like the ring is like making him. It's like bringing out. He was always kind of a nasty little guy, and the ring is just kind of enhancing.
But it's like pumping bile into his body.
Essentially,
it's really weird. Like, and where's that coming from? What is
just
what's the power of the ring? What is the actual power of the ring?
Sauron's will.
Okay, so he's basically like being sort of fucked up by a demon.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's like some sort of like...
So when the rings of power were made, Sauron made the one ring to rule them all, and he poured into that ring a bit of his own essence.
Or is it maybe like demonic radiation poisoning?
So yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, I guess.
I feel like watching.
I know you have to.
I want to like rationalize it, even though it can't be rationalized. And
that's it. That's essentially all. I mean, I think that's kind of a good way of looking at it. Is it's kind of evil, demonic radiation poisoning. That's quite a good way of looking at it, I think.
Okay. Maybe I can appreciate these films more. Maybe we should revisit the original Lord of the Rings.
I'm not revisiting them because I've watched them all fairly recently and done fucking commentaries on them. So maybe if you want...
I'll do that on my own. I'll have my own channel to do that.
No, I think you should revisit the Lord of the Rings movies.
Okay.
Maybe don't do the extended ones. I was going to say listen to my commentaries with them, but you maybe don't want to do the extended editions, because like the normal editions are long enough.
I remember, 50 or I don't know, 10 plus years ago, somebody lending me the DVDs to watch, and it was the extended editions, and they just sat on my shelf glaring at me for months and months. I'm not going to watch these.
I think that's what puts a lot of people off those movies. It's like somebody who is really into them, like me, is like, oh, the extended editions are like the be all and end all, and they're not really. They add some fun extra stuff, but it's not really necessary. And I think a lot of those sort of super fans, when they're trying to get somebody else into it, they're like, oh, you should sit down and shotgun all 3 of the extended editions and as quickly as possible. I'm just like, no, you're going to completely overwhelm the person with that. Mean, that's 12 plus hours of movie. Probably about 12 hours.
It's kind of like trying to sit down and watch all the original series Star Trek films. Yes, most of them are good. I mean, some of them are shit, but like most of them are good. But you wouldn't want to fucking do it in a while.
That's like watching the Star Wars prequels. Sitting down and watching the Star Wars prequels all in one go. That's a fucking task. Even the original trilogy, that's a fucking mission. No, I think if you're gonna try and get into the Lord of the Rings, stick on the standard edition of Fellowship of the Ring, because it's the best one, quite frankly, and just watch it from the point of view of you're just following and getting to know these rich and well developed characters, and you just allow them to draw you into the world. And all the other stuff, all the mechanics of how magic works and all the rest of it, you will find that just melts away, and you're not really caring about that. You're just caring about these people, getting into and out of these predicaments and how they do it. It's like I always say, you can have as nonsensical a plot and setting as you like, as long as you've got characters that are realistic to that setting and are responding to the world in a believable way. Fine. I don't really care what your nonsense plot is.
I don't know how believable it is that he wouldn't just be trying to run away from this orc-killing lunatic that he's met in a cave.
I think because he realises that Gollum would catch him very quickly and kill him very easily. Oh, he's already got the ring, hasn't he?
And he doesn't know.
Oh yeah, Bilbo's picked up the ring.
We discussed this before, I think. If you had something that you were so obsessed with,
yes,
would you just keep it loose, or would you have it in a bag? Or
well, bear in mind that the One Ring does have a bit of a will of its own, so it can
roll away when you're not looking at it.
Kind of, yeah. It can sort of influence.
Stick it on a chain around your neck, then.
Well, that's what Frodo does.
I know. Well, why is Gollum? He's how long has he been in this cave? He hasn't thought to fucking weave a little strip of something out of seaweed or something.
He's having a bad time of it. He's too focused on eating his raw fish.
I was going to say he's too focused on scranning raw fish.
But yeah, the ring is constantly trying to return to Sauron. Because once Sauron gets it back, he's back to his full power and he can take over the world. So it's not like it can just like lift itself up and roll away. But it can like influence people into being clumsy with it.
I hate to reference Potter, but is he sort of Horcruxed himself to put power in the ring?
It's
sort of like taking a bit of himself.
Oddly enough, that Horcrux idea was not an original concept, shall we say?
No, you're not telling me that Harry Potter wasn't an original piece of fiction. You're not telling me it's massively derivative of everything that's ever been come before it.
Shocking, I know.
No, I won't say that. That's absurd. J.K. Rowling's a wonderful original author.
And human being.
Yes. Oh, God.
Oh, right, moving on.
The irony actually hurts to say those words.
Yeah, that is... I didn't feel good about any of that.
Oh, my skin is crawling.
At least we have virtue signalled the fuck out of that.
I don't even think it's virtue signalling.
It's not. I don't believe in virtue signalling anyway.
Oh, no, virtue signalling's a thing. It's just definitely not in that case. Like, virtue signalling is when you like actively like... I'm not a racist. It's that kind of thing. Like, it's like, you don't need to say that like for it to be, you know, you shouldn't need to say those things.
Yeah.
Whereas...
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, sorry.
So, Del Toro left the production in 2010 because of the ongoing delays caused by studio financial bullshit. It was mostly MGM, I think. I think they were the ones that held the rights to The Hobbit. But they were in some financial situation that meant that they didn't actually have the money to produce anything, but they also weren't financially stable enough for anybody else to work with them. So it kind of took New Line to come along and be like, okay, we'll help out with this. And that's part of the reason why these movies are a mess, is because with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it was Warner Brothers and it was Peter Jackson and the Weta Workshop and all that. And
what the... So, wait, I just looked up there. Did that orc already have its head chopped off and it was looking around and standing and then Gandalf just knocked his head off with a sword? Or did he just like really carefully just like slice his head off?
Was it the Goblin King getting
probably.
chopped?
I don't know. I haven't been paying that much attention.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep getting randomly drawn into this piece of shit. Continue, please. I'm gonna look away a bit.
I forgot what I was saying.
I know, sorry.
It's fine.
Where were you?
Oh yeah, MGM. So yeah, they I think had the rights to The Hobbit, and then they needed New Line to basically come along and say, okay, we'll kind of prop you up and make this thing. Basically, they had a lot of... And that's what I was going to say. One of the reasons why these movies are the mess that they are is because the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, it was Warner Brothers and it was Peter Jackson and his people, like Weta Workshop, whatever they're called. Mm-hmm. And that was it. But with this, there's Warner Brothers, there's MGM. Oh, there's New Line, obviously, were involved in the... Yeah, it was New Line that was doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy, not Warner Brothers, sorry. Yeah. So it was New Line and Peter Jackson and Weta Workshop doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then with this, you've got MGM, you've got Warner Brothers, you've got New Line, you've got fucking other studios and elements. Just all of these, bureaucratic entities just meddling with the thing.
Not convinced of the physics of this shot.
No, it's very much like just a bunch of rubbery creatures just flying about.
There's just no CG looking like crap.
There's just no weight to anything.
I wonder, and I have wondered this about a few films, but I wonder how much better this would have been if it was just 100% CGI, like an animated movie.
Well, I mean, they made an animated Hobbit movie.
And apparently it was a lot better than this.
And it was like 90 minutes or less.
Some prick prancing around in front of a green screen, swinging a sword around, and then the animators come in and put it on top. Like, there's no choreography in this, really. I mean, there's a little bit for the actors.
Yeah, well, that's... Well, no, I don't think there really was a lot of... there basically wasn't really that much planning at all. Because I think there was a quote from the production team was like they were laying the track as the train was moving. You know, there were
Very Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, but not successful. You know, they didn't catch.
Oh, they literally did a Wallace and Gromit there. Look, carrying a ladder, dropping it up and over. Oh, dear.
But that's an interesting thing. Like you compare this action scene to that action scene from that stop motion animated film from 20 years or more before this.
Tell me, Gandalf, you've stabbed quite a few orcs. You've chopped a few heads off. How is your sword quite so shiny still?
Magic.
Oh, okay.
It's a magic wizard sword.
He's got like hydrophobic coating on it or something.
Just magic.
Well, it's a magic hydrophobic coating.
It's just magic. Just magic.
Yes.
Basically, I mean, there is some controversy around exactly why Del Toro left. It was probably down to those good old quote-unquote creative differences, and also I think he was just getting pissed off with all the delays with it. While the studios were trying to sort their shit out, he just wanted to bash on and make the movie, and they couldn't until all the financial shit was sorted out. So he was out, and then Jackson was back in. And then, for some reason, they decided to turn this 300-page collection of children's bedtime stories into a epic movie trilogy.
There's no way that bridge would support the weight of that dude.
There's no way any of this is anything. No, it's just...
I guess,
like this...
several tons
from what I was saying before...
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he gets disemboweled.
I don't like that, possums. It's hurting my tummy tum.
And he's dead. This character who
was in it for about 3 minutes.
consequences.
Oh yeah, this ridiculous thing that somehow stays stable the whole way down the fall. This really took me out of the film.
Oh yeah, it's nuts. And it's like they're clearly just trying to replicate the Moria scene from Fellowship of the Ring.
Look how shit it is. It just
which
looks
is
so rubbish.
Like you look at that, you
we
probably
got bumped on the head. Oh.
You probably don't remember it, but the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring where they're running through the mines and the Balrogs chasing them, and the stone stairway starts collapsing.
Yeah,
and it's very similar to this, except actually done well with proper action beats, and you understand like the geography of the scene. You know where people are, where they've been, where they're trying to get to. You understand what the threat is, and the threat develops as the scene progresses, and then it rises to the terrible climax of Gandalf being quote unquote killed. And it's very good. And in this, they were just like, oh, they're just running underneath a mountain, and there's some wooden bridges, and maybe they stop and fight some orcs or goblins or whatever they are, and this thing's going to fall down the mountain, and it's made of wood, but it's going to stay together somehow. And like what I was saying before about you allow the characters to kind of draw you into this world, and all those little quibbles with it kind of, or should, sort of melt away. But in this, it's just... none of the characters are properly developed at all, so you don't really have anybody to form a connection with, apart from arguably Bilbo, maybe, and possibly some of the dwarves. But then, like, you don't have that connection, so you've got nothing to draw you in. So the action scenes.
About to kill the dude.
Yeah, do it.
In cold blood.
Do it. It takes pity on him, which is actually a very important moment of character development and plot for the wider story.
Also, good that, generally speaking, he doesn't murder someone in cold blood.
Yeah. I would be... Yeah, because...
That would be another irredeemable action.
Yes, and Bilbo's whole thing, like, his main lesson that he learns in the book, anyway, is that war is a silly thing. And violence is generally
not the answer.
Not the answer. And if you can solve a problem with stealth and guile and sneakiness, then that's what you should do. Oh, kicked him right in the face, though.
With his shoe feet?
Yeah.
Is that like getting smacked in the face with a leather boot?
Yeah, probably.
Doesn't seem pleasant to me.
Yuck.
So he just stole his jewellery and assaulted him and then ran away.
Under duress, yeah.
But yeah.
I think in that circumstance, if you're being held prisoner by an evil little goblin man who's going to eat you...
True.
Then, yeah, you'll probably take any advantage you can to run away.
Tell me, at this point, is Bilbo at risk of being seen by those weird wraithy things, or are they not in the
They're
world
not
at this
really... Point? They do exist at this point, but they're not really doing anything. I think they're kind of helping out in Mordor at this point.
So is it like he would have put that ring on and like... Oh, there's somebody on the other side of the world, but we can't really get there right now.
Yeah, Sauron is... The necromancer in Dol Guldur could probably have sensed the ring getting used like that.
Okay.
But then maybe not, because Gollum would have been using it quite a lot in the same area. So
That's true.
And also, Sauron's still kind of gathering his strength at this point. He doesn't really have like an army or anything that he can send after that, and he'll only have like a sort of vague idea of where the ring might be. He's sort of relying on the ring kind of coming to him rather than and like later on he like sends out armies and agents and stuff to try and capture the ring and bring it back. But at this point, because he's so weak and is rebuilding his strength, he's kind of just concentrating really hard on it and trying to make it come to him.
Another question I had about Lord of the Rings, which might just be a silly thought, but obviously they wanted to destroy the ring in Mordor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference in them destroying it from just making it irretrievable?
Yes.
Why?
Because
if it's actually irretrievable.
Because if you destroy it... that's essentially what's happened, is that the ring is hidden. Gollum's got it. It's hidden away. Nobody knows where it is. Even Sauron doesn't really know exactly where it is. But the thing is, Sauron is still building his strength. It's like Thanos with the Infinity Stones. Like, everybody was like, well, even if Thanos only has one or two of those Infinity Stones, he's still gonna fuck shit up,
Yeah.
So if Bilbo had never found the ring and it had stayed under that mountain, it probably would have taken Sauron maybe a couple of 100 extra years to build his strength back up again. But the thing is, if he gets a hold of the ring, then it's game over.
But what I'm thinking is, like, what if they took the ring and instead of dropping it into the volcano, they dropped it into the equivalent of the Mariana Trench? It would have taken thousands of years
so that
of
it just can't be retrieved.
Physically irretrievable. Is there a reason why they don't just do that rather than try and destroy it?
Because Sauron would still have an aspect of his power and would still be...
it's the Horcrux thing, so it still exists.
Yeah, he would still be able to like corrupt the minds of men.
Hiding it doesn't actually harm him, but destroying it does.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
That's why the world is kind of stagnant at the start of the Lord of the Rings, because everybody's just kind of waiting, because nobody really knows exactly what the situation is, because nobody knows where the ring is and nobody knows really where Sauron is, but they know that these things exist and are out there, and the world's just kind of on this knife edge of it's about to plunge into chaos, and there are forces on either side trying to influence it. And if they just hid the ring, like irretrievably hid the ring, like shot it off into space or something.
Was that the first time Bilbo killed something? And it was just this big running into his sword?
I think so, yeah, I think so.
He looked pretty shocked by that.
Yeah, he's not typically into that sort of thing.
No. Although he did just quite happily watch his mates slice the head off loads of orcs.
Yeah, well, what was he going to do to stop them?
No, I just mean, like, he didn't really react that negatively to that.
Well, I think he understood the situation they were in,
Yeah.
And also, you try telling a dwarf not to kill an orc.
No, I'm talking about Gandalf. I'm talking about he literally just watched Gandalf, like, decapitate a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, but, that's Gandalf. He can do whatever he wants.
Oh, look, he had a little Tim moment there.
So, yeah. Lord of the Rings word count. What do you reckon it is?
Lord of the Rings. 4.
No, the full 3-book epic. How many words do you think?
I literally have no clue.
A little bit under 500,000.
500,000 words.
For those 3 novels, yes.
Fucking hell.
Fits quite neatly into 3 biggish movies, you would say.
Yeah.
You could cut out a lot of the crap on it, because most of that is just them walking across fields and remarking upon
Potatoes.
nature and singing songs. I mean, you cut most of that out, and you've got a decent 2 or 3 movie franchise on your
I keep
hands.
thinking he looks like Michael Sheen. It's really putting me off.
The Hobbit word count, what do you reckon that is? Just as a
like
comparison.
2,000, if that.
90,000.
Oh, really? I was going to say, I thought it was really short.
It's longer than you think, but
it was like a short
it's
story.
No, it's oddly enough, it's about a third the length of the other ones, more or less. Is that right? Is that maths? I don't know. But yeah, that just shows you how, like, a 500,000 word piece of work.
It sure is a piece of work.
You know, you can see that quite easily fitting into 2 to 3 hour movies.
Apologies for the blind rustling. This is awfully bright and being blinded again. It just seems so much to try and put into a decent story. It must be very difficult for screenwriters to sort that, but I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
Well, yeah, it is, and that's why they had to cram all this extra crap into it. Well, not this.
No,
this is
what they needed to do
this
was
is
make
from
one
the book.
fucking movie.
Yeah. And I don't mind this one. The other 2 I really cannot stand at all. But this one I actually quite liked, because it does have some fun kind of switch your brain off action bits. And I like this bit, and I like the bit with the trolls, even though it wasn't accurate to
The
the
Ents
book.
going to crop up in a minute. Are the Ents in this?
No, they're not in this. They're not a thing until Lord of the Rings. Well, I mean, they're a thing in the world, but
They
they're
don't
not
feature.
depicted until Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God.
And
so
then-
much just falling and catching things and...
On top of it all, there's all the New Zealand film industry getting fucked stuff, which is a whole saga in and of itself.
Yeah?
And we're going to dig into that next time. So there's something to look forward to. There's some reason to come back and listen to the next one of these.
I'm genuinely thrilled at the prospect. So you can turn pine cones into grenades, or is it just burning it? No, just burning it. I thought that...
Well, it's like, pine cones kind of explode if you
They
set
burn
fire-
very well, but...
set fire to them, I think. But
I
yeah,
feel like
that's
those aren't
a
even
thing
on
from...
fire. That's what's so bad about it. They can't even get real fire.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
CGI fire pine cones.
It's very, very fake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
But
all
anyway,
really fake.
that's a bit from the book, and an example of Gandalf's kind of vaguish magic. Like, is he magicking the pine cones to be on fire, or does he have a little
lighter, in his
lighter kind
stick.
of thing? What's going on there? But then sometimes his magic is just completely unambiguous, like when he gets resurrected.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about that. How, he falls into a fucking crevasse, doesn't he? Or is he?
Yeah, so
So
the
does he just
Balrog,
fall and die from fall damage,
No,
and then just come back to life? Or
he
what?
dies fighting the Balrog on top of the mountain. Like, they fall into... They fall from
He
the bridge of
smashes the bridge
Khazad-dûm.
and they both fall.
Yeah, smashes the
So does he fight
bridge.
them at the bottom,
Smashes the
fight them
bridge. The Balrog falls, uses its whip thing to drag Gandalf down. They fall into
at the bottom? Frodo has that.
a big yeah. They fall into the like underground lake kind of thing, and that's where you kind of leave it until in the Two Towers you see that they end up. I think canonically they're fighting non-stop for like 2 weeks or something
Jesus.
crazy like that.
He's got some stamina, that Ian McKellen.
And basically, the fight ends on the top of the mountain. Gandalf kills the Balrog, but he is himself too
Mortally weakened.
too badly damaged. His mortal form, his corporeal form, is too damaged, and he dies.
So does he
But then-
ascend like Daniel Jackson and then come back to...
Sort
Using
of.
form
It's
again.
kind of vague what happens. It's like, I transitioned into a realm of light and stuff, and then I came back, and I had a white robe, and I'd straightened my hair.
Yeah, sounds a lot like Daniel Jackson. in Stargate.
Yeah, kinda.
Where he
Kinda.
dies and then spiritually ascends and then chooses to retake form within the land of the living.
But Gandalf doesn't actually choose to be resurrected, though.
Who resurrects
He's
him?
forced back into existence.
By
It's
whom?
not really confirmed, I don't think. I think it's sort of implied that...
Oh, he'd be dead.
Ooh,
No surviving that.
Right in the kisser.
A mace to the face, that's going to get you.
Mace face. I think it's sort of implied that Iluvatar himself does it. Iluvatar is the god of the Tolkien universe.
Is this dwarf actually about to get jumped by something? These dwarves actually die. Is there actually any stakes in this?
Not in this film, but some of them do die later on in the most pointless and boring and stupid manner.
Oh, he should be like, doubly dead.
Yeah, he's just getting tossed around like a fucking ragdoll, isn't he?
Like Justin Bieber in a prison. You not heard that Frankie Boyle joke?
Oh, God. If it's a Frankie Boyle joke, I
Justin
probably
Bieber
don't
ever went
want
to
to
prison,
hear
he'd be thrown around like a fucking dog toy.
I think it's... yeah, probably true.
Say what you like about his music, but you probably would.
Yes.
Just to bring the tone down a lot there, you know how I do tend to do that on these things.
Yes.
Apologies.
Yes.
You keep wanting to do these.
The necromancer stuff is pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I barely know who it is. Is that the one that was like the shadowy figure in the ice thing earlier?
Yeah, kinda, yeah. I think that was one of the ring wraiths, actually.
That's silly. Man.
I think the necromancer was kind of the shadowy thing. Look, it's that guy again. It's Manu Bennett, or whatever his name is.
I missed it.
The pale orc. There he is.
Oh, right, okay.
He didn't die. He wasn't killed. I mean, we saw that earlier.
We've seen that. Yeah, because we've already seen him with his metal hand and the spike in his elbow after that.
Oh, Bilbo, go on, my son. Kill those big evil wolves.
Yeah, he has got no chance of surviving this.
Well, he's got
Except for his character shield.
He's got some pretty heavy plot armor.
Yeah. Just put
They
the
all
ring
do.
on and run
I
away.
mean, Thorin. You saw what happened to Thorin there, and
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's the Eggles. The Eggles have come.
I honestly didn't get what you said there, but yes. The Eggles have come.
I hate the fucking Eagles, man. Tell you what, those orcs won't be living it up at Hotel California. Oh!
Well, they can check out, but they can't leave.
Well, indeed. Well, they've mostly checked out, because they're mostly dead.
I checked out before this movie even began.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why don't the Eagles just solve all the problems all the time? Maybe air defences are a thing. Do you ever think of that?
Do we ever witness any air defences in the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Yeah,
Of
sort
any
of. They've got like trebuchets and catapults and stuff.
No.
And magic.
Trebuchets and catapults are not air defence. That's not
Yeah, they
ground.
could.
That's not ground to air projectiles. That's ground to ground projectiles over a long
They
distance.
could be used.
And also, trebuchets are far superior. They are
Yeah.
the superior siege engine. So I don't even like the use of the word catapult. That's filthy.
The catapults is more a Gondor thing anyway. It's more of a people, more of a thing for the realm of men.
I still think, yeah, they're getting rescued, but this would be fucking terrifying. Being, like, clawed out of a tree by a fucking 30-foot eagle.
Please, it's pronounced Eggle.
Eggle, sorry.
Off they go. And that's the end of everything, because the Eagles just take them directly to where they need to go, and that's the end of it. And everyone lives happily ever after.
I still think it would have been better if Manu Bennett was wearing makeup.
Oh, of course it would. In fact, I think he probably was.
Is that
at
eagle
one
about
point.
to drop one of these guys?
Get a bit sleepy, yeah, I guess. What's that?
Stolen something?
Probably.
Thieving little buggers, the dwarves. You gotta say, the effects on the Eggles are quite good. In terms of the sort of feather flutter.
They're well known for using synths as well as guitar amplification.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
You're
to
trying.
I'm trying to make
I know,
this a bit.
it's so hard to bring the tone up with this. It's like, polishing a turd sort of thing, isn't it? Really.
So I want to talk a little bit about the necromancer stuff.
Yeah, sorry,
because
I keep getting off track.
it's well, I mean, that's just these movies, isn't it? So in the book, Gandalf leaves the party from time to time to go off on, like, just goes off to do mysterious wizard shit. Like, it doesn't really explain it, just from time to time he's like, oh, I've got some mysterious stuff to go and investigate. You're on your own for this little bit of the story.
So they just write him out randomly?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, he would have just been able to solve all their problems if he was there all the time. He would just solve the problems all the time.
Probably should have fucking been with him then, shouldn't
But
he?
he was... But, let's say...
So one of them did die?
In The Lord of the Rings...
He did die?
Yeah, well, he's using
healing him.
healing magic on him.
Oh,
So what the fuck am I even saying anymore? I don't know. I don't know.
So, yeah, I keep getting distracted by this piece of shit movie.
I don't know. So it was only late. So that was, a pretty basic bit of storytelling. You've got this godlike character that can solve all the other characters' problems for them. You write them out of the story at certain intervals, and that's fine it's not the best way of doing it, but for a little children's story, it's fine.
A better way of doing it might be not have a godlike character that you need to write out so your story makes sense.
Yeah, but they're little children. They're stories for little children.
Well, then they're not going to notice when they make stupid choices with the story. Then, are they? They're just going to go along with it.
Exactly.
Kids are thick as mints. They don't give a shit.
So it was only later on that Tolkien expanded upon what Gandalf was actually up to on his little side missions. He was investigating the necromancer, who he suspected to be Sauron, rebuilding his power. But all of that is irrelevant. That's relevant to the Lord of the Rings stuff. It is completely irrelevant to the Hobbit story. The clue's in the name. It should be about the Hobbit, who you will have noticed has barely featured in this story, apart from in the first half an hour. And at this point, where he's going to get a big hug from a dwarf, probably. Or something.
Oh, is this the dwarf that fancies the elf?
No, it's not Richard Armitage. That's
the one that
the Aidan. What's his name?
What's her name?
Aidan Smith. Let me scroll back.
For some reason, I thought she was just going to appear randomly there, because they always seem to have teleporty abilities as well. The elves, don't they? What's their magic all about? Are they just immortal, light-footed?
They're not immortal.
Weirdos?
They're extremely long-lived. They're not really. They're like immune to disease and things like that. Their immortality and everything it does have like a source, and they can like give it up and become. They can like choose to be mortal, and also as like the. Evil magic is like corrupting the world, their light is kind of fading from the world, which is why they're all heading into the west.
So my eyes hurt from rolling so hard.
It doesn't need to be taken that seriously, and you don't really need to know any of this sort of stuff. But you asked. So.
I did. It's just I always expect it to make more sense. And
so they
don't.
They don't really have any magical powers as such. They're just like immune to disease, incredibly long lived. They're fleet of foot. So there's a bit in the Fellowship of the Ring where they're crossing the mountain and it's really snowy and everybody's trying to force their way through the snow, and Legolas is just kind of prancing along on top of the snow because he's able to do that, and he's not really affected by the cold at all. There's quite a fun scene in the extended edition of, I think it's The Two Towers, maybe Return of the King, where him and Gimli are having a drinking contest.
I remember this. Sorry, just this sequence here. I remember the fluid dynamics of the coins looking believable. That looked trash.
They spent a lot of time and effort on that. Is that the end? Have we got to the end?
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, I didn't even get to my...
Oh, thank
fuck good. For that. Right.
Oh, it's over.
Not quite. I've still got things to talk about here.
Well, let's see how long we've actually got left in the credits. See how long you've got. How do I...
So yeah, anyway, the point there was, I think a point I made 3 or 4 times during that was that the whole...
10 minutes of credits.
Yeah, that's fine. That's plenty of time. The whole necromancer thing, don't need it. Don't need any of it.
No.
In this. Yeah.
I mean, I could have done without.
I like Sylvester McCoy. We talked about that, though. He's disgusting, and I love it. He's got his head caked in bird shit.
To be honest, Sylvester McCoy was the highlight of this for me.
We've talked about why the films look like garbage.
He's got shit all over his head. He's got birds in his hat.
Well, there's that, and there's the fact it was shot for 3D and 48 frames per second, and all that nonsense. So there's loads of bloom everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
These movies they broke everything. They broke the actors. They broke filmmaking standards. They broke and manipulated actual laws of nations.
Talking about breaking things, I've got a fun fact that you might not know. Did you know in Lord of the Rings films, one of them, I think it's Viggo Mortensen, he kicks a helmet and screams, and he actually broke his toe at the time.
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, did you? I didn't think anybody knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Carry on.
Not relevant to these movies, is it?
Well, sorry, no.
I mean, what the fuck is relevant to these movies? Oh God, I hate them.
It's bloody hateful.
The music is fucked. Now, this is something, we didn't hear it, but the bit at the end there, where they're in the forest and the Manu Bennett orc was there and Thorin was facing off against him, there's a specific bit of music that they use at that point that really pisses me off. So in the original Lord of the Rings movies, the music in it, Howard Shore's music, is incredible. And one of the best bits of music it has is the Ringwraith theme.
Okay.
Which is very specifically the leitmotif, as it's called,
yes,
for the Ringwraiths, for the Nazgul. In this, they use that same bit of music, and that bit of music has lyrics. That song is actually about something.
And they just use it.
And they just chuck it in there because it's an epic confrontation sounding bit of music.
Well, it's
just like, God damn it!
Remember this tune? You know,
it's not even that. It's just that Howard Shore didn't have time to make a new score for it. I mean, he made some new score, and there's some music in it I really like the dwarf theme in this is a fucking banger, frankly. But just that is so... It just really speaks to the lack of attention to detail or anything that went into these movies. Right, so here we go. IMDB trivia bits. Interested or no? Let's go. Bonus Rage Edition. Let's get fucking angry. Number 1. Asked how many wizards.
Wait. Are we not going to get a...
I was doing Rage Edition though.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's do Rage Edition.
I'm actually going to ruin my throat if I do that, so never mind.
Well, I'll do the growling.
Trivia bit number 1. Very good. Asked how many wizards there are, Gandalf says there are 5, naming Saruman, Radagast, and himself, and then saying he can't remember the names of the other 2, merely saying the 2 blues. Their names are Altar and Palando.
And how exactly can he not remember the names of the only 2 other people of his species on the planet?
Their names, Alatar and Palando, appear in the book Unfinished Tales, a collection of Tolkien's ideas and half manuscripts, edited into book form by his son Christopher. The filmmakers didn't have rights to use material from that book, so the 2 blue wizards remain unnamed in the movie. Is that interesting?
No.
It is interesting. Ding! It's extended lore. I love it.
Okay. So basically, they didn't have the rights to use the names of characters established as part of that universe by the author.
Yeah. Because it was in a different book that they didn't have the rights to.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Copyright law is a piece of shit for that sort of thing.
Sure is. IMDB bit number 2. Thank you. The method of creating Hobbit feet was changed for this movie. For the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the prosthetic feet only fit over the actors' and actresses' feet, requiring them to be reapplied after periods of walking in them. For this movie, the prosthetic went all the way up to their knees. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Not interesting.
Correct, that is not interesting. I don't want to know about Hobbit's gross hairy feet, honestly. And I think you'll probably be sympathetic to that.
I am very sympathetic to that.
Trivia bit number 3. Sir Ian McKellen admitted that he was initially so miserable having to act in tedious visual effects shots that he seriously gave thought to dropping out. He even considered asking Sir John Hurt to offer himself as a replacement. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Is this for The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
For The Hobbit. For the film we just watched.
I mean, no, yeah, okay. I mean, it's not interesting.
No, that is interesting, actually. Ding! But only because offer himself makes it seem like some sort of sacrifice to an ancient deity. Which, given the state of the production of these films,
it's an accurate
not far from the
yeah.
truth. And also, have you seen? You probably haven't seen it, but like the behind the scenes footage of Ian McKellen just having the worst fucking time making these movies.
Yeah,
because he's just like, it's not like on the first film where they had all these really cool like practical effects to get like the perspective shots
it was all
and
just
everything.
in front of a green screen.
They couldn't do that with this because they were shooting for 3D. They had to use 2 cameras.
Oh yeah, you can't use perspective.
So you can't get it. So everything's just green screen. And there's this one that is heartbreaking to watch where Ian McKellen is just sitting in Bilbo's house, but everything is just green, and there's no other actors there. There's just little green sticks with like a mug shot of the actor on it. And he's literally just breaking down in tears. It's fucking awful.
I think I have seen that.
It's horrible to watch.
I will say that is moderately interesting, but at the same time, I'm saying not interesting because it's just about the suffering of the poor man.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the interesting bit of it was just the phrasing of offering up John Hurt as a sacrifice to the deity of the...
Well, in that case, I'll mix it up and say that is interesting.
Well, you've already given your answer.
Did I?
Yeah.
What was it?
You got it right or wrong? I can't remember.
What is it then?
Somebody in the comments put down the score.
Is it interesting or not interesting?
It is interesting, but only because of the offer himself thing.
Okay.
God, that was painful. Right, trivia bit number 4.
The credits are still rolling. We've got plenty of time.
Thank you. Peter Jackson cast Aidan Turner as Keeley. You remember that memorable character? Yeah. After seeing him on Being Human in 2008. Turner quit the series in order to be in the Hobbit trilogy.
And regretted it for the rest of his short life.
Is that interesting? He's
No.
still alive. He's not dead yet, I don't think. Anyway. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Not interesting.
Correct, it's not interesting. Should have stuck with Being Human, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think
I only watched a bit of it, but
I
it was
watched
good,
maybe like
so.
one episode of that, and I don't think it was very good, but given the alternative, you know. Also, I should say, normally
wasn't Alonso in that?
I can't remember. Yeah, actually, I think he was, yeah. I should just say, normally there are 10 bits of this. For this, 20.
Are you joking?
No. Some chapter titles
You're joking.
I'm not joking. Some chapter titles. Number 5, trivia bit number 5. Some chapter titles.
That peak, Jesus.
God almighty. God, I'm actually dying here. I think this film has actually sucked the literal life essence out of my body. But anyway.
Have you got the One Ring in your pocket?
I actually swallowed it. Do you think that was a good idea?
Well, I can see you. I doubt it's affecting you that badly.
Fair enough. Some chapter titles from the book are mentioned in dialogue, such as A Merry Gathering and Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire and Roast Mutton.
So the scriptwriters were having so much trouble writing dialogue that they had to resort to using the chapter titles.
Seems so. Is
not
that
interesting?
Not interesting, correct?
Good lord.
I'm actually amazed that they didn't turn each fucking chapter into its own fucking 3-hour
it's finished!
movie. It's finished, and we've still got lots of this to do.
Oh God, carry on then.
It's not over yet. Yeah, I'm amazed that they didn't turn each chapter into its own fucking 10-hour goddamn epic. Ugh. Where are we up to? Number 6. Trivia bit number 6. Thank you. Balin and Dwalin's headbutt references a behind-the-scenes tradition amongst the Lord of the Rings stuntmen and Viggo Mortensen.
Not interesting.
No, that is interesting. Ding!
Are you saying that two characters headbutting each other is a reference to a tradition of headbutting each other?
Yeah,
rather than just two people fighting and having a headbutt.
Well, no, it's like it's a sort
It's a direct reference.
Yes, because I will explain.
Bullshit!
On The Lord of the Rings, the Viggo Mortensen and the stunt performers and some of the other actors, as a kind of friendly, lads being boys kind of thing, they would just do a friendly headbutt to each other.
It's just guys being dudes.
Yeah, basically. And so that was a reference to that. And I think that's nice, to be honest. And anyway, that is interesting. Ding. No one talks about any of the traditions or anything like that are born from these fucking movies, do they? Apart from the tradition of destroying film industries.
And New Zealand.
Trivia bit number 7. Frodo, brackets Elijah Wood, Saruman, brackets Sir Christopher Lee, Galadriel, brackets Kate Blanchett, and Legolas, brackets Orlando Bloom, are all returning characters from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, though none of them appear in the book The Hobbit. This is the same for Radagast, brackets Sylvester McCoy, who is only mentioned in The Hobbit but does not appear until The Lord of the Rings. Conversely, Radagast was omitted from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is that interesting, or is that not interesting?
All the way through that, I was about to say not interesting until you said that he was omitted from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which actually is interesting because I had no idea that he was in that. So, on a personal level, a little bit interesting. Generally speaking, not at all.
Not interesting. They shouldn't be in the fucking movie.
I'm surprisingly good at this Lord of the Rings not interesting or not interesting round. I don't know what that means.
wonder why. There's just no fucking need for them to be in it. I'm angry about it. Clearly. Exactly. Trivia bit number 8. Contrary to popular belief, Kate Blanchett was not placed on a swivel platform in order to create the delicate turn of her entrance. She just
very,
rotated
very light
her
on her
body without any help from a prop. Is that interesting?
No.
Or not interesting?
It's not interesting.
It's not interesting. Good for her, I guess. Why is she in the fucking movie?
You know what? Describing that, did you ever watch The Mighty Boosh?
Yes.
I'm just getting vibes of, I'm going to turn my back on you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The one good joke from that
Oh,
show.
come on.
We're not getting into it. We've got more trivia to do. Trivia bit number 9. There was no doubt that Sir Ian McKellen would reprise his role as Gandalf.
We've established that there was.
There was no doubt that Sir Ian McKellen would reprise his role as Gandalf. Sir Peter Jackson said to him, you must... I can't do his voice, but you could do a New Zealand accent, I suppose, but then you'd have to read the thing.
I'm happy to have a try.
You must play Gandalf, whether I direct it or not.
Whether I direct it or not.
That's pretty good, actually.
Thanks very much.
Is that interesting or is that not interesting?
Not interesting, no.
It is interesting, actually. Ding! Has Peter Jackson bound McKellen's fucking soul to this franchise or something? You must play Gandalf. You will always play Gandalf. Even when you're dead, we're gonna fucking CGI resurrect your Tarkin style to be Gandalf.
Does he go up to him and say, if you don't play Gandalf again in my next movie, you shall not last?
Okay, well, you got the quote wrong there, but A for effort, I suppose.
That was the point. Not past, last. It was a bad pun. Look, I've just... it's the best I can do after watching that movie.
Okay, we're under duress here, I understand. Don't worry, we're now getting to the halfway point of this.
I'm still waiting for the chance to take another loo break, and I can't really go now. There's not even a movie on for you to discuss.
Okay, well, we'll rattle through these then.
Yes, please do.
Trivia bit number 10. J.R.R. Tolkien was especially influenced by Norse mythology when he named the dwarves. Many characters' names featured in the Lord of the Rings franchise are found in the work Gylfaginning, Norse word, dated circa AD 1220. The following dwarves were in Norse mythology: Dvalin, Bifur, Bafur, Bomber, Nuri, Urin, Oin, Gandalfur, Fili, Kili, Gloin, Dori, Thorin, pronounced Thorin. Even Gandalfur, is named after a dwarf from Norse mythology. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Sorry, I tuned out. Not interesting.
It is interesting, actually. Ding. That is actually genuinely quite interesting. I quite like Norse mythology.
Sorry, wait. Are we saying that it's interesting that J.R.R. Tolkien just stole the names of a whole bunch of stuff from Norse mythology?
Yeah, because I like Norse mythology.
No, I like Norse mythology.
And if you haven't done so, you should read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, because it's very good.
Tell you what, I actually kind of want to read...
The Lord of the Rings?
It's not Norse mythology. Oh, pardon me, I've got hiccups. It's not Norse mythology, but I want to read the Stephen Fry books he's done about, like, the Iliad and that sort of thing, and he's sort of rewritten them in a slightly more kind of modern and approachable way. But I haven't read any of it, but I hear it's actually quite well done.
Trivia bit number 11. Stephen Hunter, brackets, Bomber, you remember him, caught the egg...
I have no idea who that is at all.
Caught the egg thrown into his mouth on the first take, but was unable to catch it on subsequent takes. Therefore, the take used was the first one. Is that interesting or not interesting?
That is irrelevant.
That's not an option.
Not interesting.
Correct, it's not interesting.
I'll tell you what is interesting.
Obviously, they used the first fucking take. Oh my god.
It reminds me a little bit of the story of a questionably entertaining film, Alien Resurrection, where Sigourney Weaver literally just throws the basketball behind her. You know, they were going to like CG it in or something, and she just makes the basket first time, and Ron Perlman's face is just genuinely like, holy shit!
That's a good movie. Anyway,
it's an entertaining movie.
Trivia bit.
It doesn't make it good.
We're having to adjust our... Given what we've just witnessed, I think we're having to adjust our standards a little bit.
Fair play.
Trivia bit number 12. Thank you. Richard Armitage has said that his first experience acting on stage was playing an elf in a theatrical production of The Hobbit. Is that interesting or not interesting?
No.
It is interesting, actually. Ding! I discovered this trivia after I made a note earlier that he looks like he should be an elf. Remember when I said that?
You did say that.
I said that. Confirmed. He was an elf.
Well, I shall give you a ding.
Vindicate. I give myself the dings.
You don't get to give yourself a ding in this instance. I'm giving you a ding.
You just try and stop me dinging myself, mate.
I have frequently.
Well, indeed. Always bursting in me like, stop your dinging, mate.
Next fact, please.
Next fact, number 13. Stephen Hunter, who you'll remember played Bomber, says
again, I literally have no idea who either of these people are.
It's the same person as the last one we were
talking about. I know, and I've already forgotten who you told me.
Stephen Hunter as Bomber says only one line during the entire movie.
What the fuck?
Is that interesting or not interesting?
It's not interesting.
Correct, it's not interesting.
You know what? I'll tell you, I did notice a little interesting thing at the end of the film there.
Uh-huh.
Benedict Cumberbatch is credited in this film. And I don't even know if he even said anything at the end there. Did he just growl or some shit?
Probably. But I mean, he still did it, didn't he? So yeah, good for him. Easy gig, I guess. I mean, apart from the interminable hours on set and the ridiculous and uncomfortable prosthetics. And which one was he? You know, how am I supposed to tell these fucking dwarves apart?
Well, because they've all got different names and appearances.
Oh,
and they're played by different actors.
Right. Getting through this. Trivia bit number 14. Why have I done this?
I have no idea.
Trivia bit number 14.
This recording's been going on for 3 hours and 3 minutes.
Good. When Gandalf, Bilbo, and the dwarves arrive at Rivendell, the wizard mentions it's also known as Imlandris. The name is a word in Elvish, a fictional language created by J.R.R. Tolkien, and both names mean Deep Valley of the Cleft. Rivendell was established and ruled by Elrond in the Second Age of Middle-earth, about 400 to 500 years previous to the Lord of the Rings events. Is that interesting, or is that not interesting, bearing in mind that it's lore, and I fucking love lore?
It's not interesting.
It is interesting.
I don't give a shit. It's so hard. It's
lore!
So hard to care.
Just pile all the fucking lore into it. Come on.
Okay. The only lore I like is in Star Trek The Next Generation.
I am actually surprised that Elrond didn't sit down and read the entirety of the fucking Silmarillion cover to cover just to pad for time in this fucking movie. Ugh.
Don't worry, we're nearly done.
5 more of these to go. Right. Also, I'm glad that whoever wrote that trivia clarified that Elvish was a fictional language. Otherwise, I would have mistaken this for some historical docudrama or something. Anyway, trivia bit number 15. There are no curves or circles in Dwarvish architecture, and most objects of Dwarvish origin are polygonal.
Polygonal.
Same word. This also is evident in the Dwarvish script, which appears on the maps of the Lonely Mountain. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Don't care.
That's not an option.
Not interesting. Don't care.
Incorrect. It is interesting. Ding! I like the dwarves. They're my favourite Middle-earthian people.
You know this is fiction, right?
Really?
Yeah.
No, actually. Like I say, I genuinely think that was a historical docudrama that we just watched.
We were watching the historical documents.
Yeah. Where are we up to? What was that? 15.
15, something?
16. Why is it scrolling down when I scroll up? That's weird. 16. Sir Christopher Lee (Saruman) once commented that he would have loved to voice the dragon Smaug in the film adaptation of The Hobbit. Instead, he voiced the dragon-like Jabberwocky in Alice in Wonderland (2010). Is that interesting or not interesting?
It's not interesting.
It is interesting. Ding.
It's not as interesting as the fact I heard about him dressing as a wizard so that Peter Jackson would cast him, and Peter Jackson was like, "No, I would totally have cast you anyway. It's fine."
Yeah, that was interesting. Actually,
yeah, it was. Ding.
Would have been better than having Saruman in the movie, and would have been so much better than Benedict Cumberbatch's performance, which is laughable. Indeed. Trivia bit number 17. The meeting between the orcs and Azog happens in Weathertop, the same place where Frodo, Sam, Merry and Pippin were attacked by the Nazguls in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001. Is that interesting or not interesting?
Not interesting.
That is interesting. Ding. See, this is the sort of thing, that's all you need to tie it back to the Lord of the Rings movies. It's just the odd little location here and there, the odd little mention. But no, we've got another 2 fucking movies to go.
Tell me, I mean, I'm sure this is the case. Gollum's in the same cave in the trilogy as well, isn't he? Yeah.
No, well, for some of it he is.
Okay.
He
obviously he comes out and he travels.
Yeah,
with
he
Frodo,
gets.
But I mean, when Frodo finds him, is he in the same cave with Bilbo?
I think he goes looking for the ring and gets captured and taken to Mordor and tortured and stuff.
Christ.
Anyway, trivia bit number 18.
Okay.
Okay. During the early phases of writing The Hobbit, Tolkien considered naming the wizard Gandalf Thorin. As a reference to this, Peter Jackson wrote a scene where Bilbo accidentally calls Gandalf Thorin. The scene was filmed, but later abandoned, because Peter Jackson thought it may look stupid in the movie and confuse the audience. Is that interesting or not interesting?
I think that's a very fair statement to make, but it's not interesting.
It is interesting, actually.
It's not interesting.
Ding! Yeah, they were trying... It surprises me that there were any choices made on this film to make it less confusing for the audience.
Yeah.
Trivia bit number 19. Was released the same year as the novel's 75th anniversary. Interesting or not interesting?
Not interesting.
Not interesting. Spitting on someone on their birthday is rude and mean and disgusting.
Yes.
Here we go, last one, trivia bit number 20. The voice of the ailing hedgehog Sebastian was provided by Teddy Bear, the porcupine, from Zooniversity in Texas.
I was about to
Is that
say...
interesting or not interesting?
I mean, just my train of thought there, you have no idea how wild that was in my head, right? We watched that with the sound off, and the subtitles weren't working, so I in my head for a second, I was thinking, those hedgehogs were speaking? And then you said it was a porcupine, and I'm like, okay... It's not interesting. That's how you do sound effects in a film. You get another animal, you sample it, and you use it. Like,
yeah.
You do that for making fucking TIE fighters. They're just elephant trumpeting.
That was interesting, though. Ding! It's nice, though. Porcupines are cool, and that's a nice thing for us to end on.
Fascinating.
Thank you, everybody, for enduring this with us, if you have indeed done so.
If anyone gets to this point, please just post the word "the suffering" or the words "the suffering is over," and we thank you for your service.
No, the suffering has only just begun.
Write one of those two things just to prove that somebody out there has had to endure this with us as well.
Oh my god! Right, we're going away to do other things now.
Absolutely, like die in a hole for a day. I don't know.
Just a bit of decompressing, I think.
Definitely.
Anyway, thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.